Chapter 2035. Colding Spring. Is this a trap laid by someone else? Xiao Chen stood in front of the well and entered deep thought. After a while, he decided to go down and take a look. I'll accompany you. If anything happens, we can look after each other, Sang said softly. It's fine. If there is really any danger, it will be easier for me to escape alone. Don't worry. Without giving Sang a chance to refuse, Xiao Chen gently leaped into the well. It's fine. If there is really any danger, it will be easier for me to escape alone. Don't worry. Not giving Sang a chance to refuse, Xiao Chen gently leaped into the well. Sang looked at the well and then the surroundings, entering deep thought. Soon, he soared into the air and looked down at the surroundings. He saw indistinct mountain ranges in the distance. The entire terrain gave off an indescribably strange feeling. Below, in the well, Xiao Chen descended for a long time. Finally, his feet touched the ground, and he landed. Whoosh! The instant Xiao Chen's feet touched the ground, a chill assaulted him. Xiao Chen's body trembled uncontrollably. He felt inattributed qi in his body, and the chill was overwhelming. If he wanted to remove it, he would have to waste a lot of veritable essence energy. Xiao Chen circulated the Ice Feather Divine incantation and directly absorbed this inattributed qi, turning it into the power of his ice domain. When he looked up, he could see a bowl-sized light. The ancient well was probably 10 kilometers deep. When he thought about it, he realized that he was now 10 kilometers underground. He could not help but be exceptionally cautious. As for the surroundings, it was pitch black. He could only see within 100 meters. Xiao Chen groped his way forward in the darkness. The narrow path widened as he walked. However, the terrain became increasingly complicated. Soon, his vision suddenly widened. Xiao Chen had already arrived at an underground cavern. The inverted stalactites were 2 meters long. They gave off a crystalline light, barely allowing him to see the entire cavern. One had to admit that the strange stalactites and the night view of the water looked rather shocking and wondrous. After admiring it for a while, Xiao Chen followed the water and headed upstream. The inattributed qi became increasingly denser. To his surprise, Xiao Chen discovered that his frost domain was rapidly expanding. At this rate, it would not be long before Xiao Chen broke through and comprehended the Ice Great Tao. His ice domain had long reached the limits. He only lacked a fortuitous encounter, and he could break through to the power of Great Tao. Perhaps this was an opportunity. With this thought, Xiao Chen circulated the Ice Feather Divine art to its limits. The cold qi around Xiao Chen condensed into strands of cold qi that glimmered in the night sky. The cold qi around him grew thicker and thicker. The cold qi that had condensed into threads had already condensed into feathers. Countless ice feathers flew up and down, looking exceptionally beautiful. Along the way, they came across many round stone pillars that were wrapped in layers of thick ice. It stood abruptly on the ground. The underground environment was really strange. They didn't run into any danger along the way, but that made Xiao Chen even more cautious. He felt that something was off. Gotcha! Suddenly, Xiao Chen stepped on a patch of frozen ground, and his right foot sank in. The cold qi instantly froze his foot. Xiao Chen cursed himself for being unlucky. Then he lowered his head and tried to pull his foot out. However, he suddenly felt the danger of impending death. Xiao Chen could not care less about pulling his right foot out. He tilted his body slightly, and a 2-meter-long stalactite silently slid past his face and into the ground. Whoosh! The sharpness of the stalactite surpassed Xiao Chen's expectations. The long stalactite directly pierced into the ground, not making a sound. Xiao Chen immediately felt a chill run down his back. If he had not dodged, this stalactite would have pierced through his head and body, killing him on the spot. Was it a coincidence? There did not seem to be any formation fluctuations or signs of anyone controlling it. It could only be explained as a coincidence. After pulling his frozen right foot out, Xiao Chen stretched his legs. He had to be even more careful from now on. No, suddenly, Xiao Chen thought of something and looked back. He saw that on the way here, he looked at the round stone pillars that had suddenly appeared on the ground, and he felt an inexplicable sense of fear. Xiao Chun threw a palm strike ferociously, and a saber wind spread out. All the dust on the surface of the circular stone pillar fell off in an instant. Swish, swish, swish. As the thick stone chips peeled off bit by bit, the cylindrical stones revealed their true bodies. They were all corpses. The frozen corpses stood erect on the ground. Their blank expressions before they died could even be seen clearly. The saber wind didn't stop, and in the next moment, all the corpses were turned into dust. Xiao Chen's face was deathly pale. He was completely frightened out of his wits. With his courage, there were very few things that could scare him. However, the scene before him had truly frightened him. It turned out that he had already walked through many paths of death before this. If he had been the slightest bit careless, he would have lost his life on the spot. Xiao Chun recalled the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories. In the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories, there was a kind of exquisite killing formation that completely merged with the natural environment. One would not even be able to sense the existence of the killing formation. Even when one died, one would not understand what happened. I can't go any further. The killing formation of this place already surpassed Xiao Chen's understanding. Even a divine vein realm sovereign emperor might not be able to leave alive. When Xiao Chun sized up the area in front, he felt that the rather ordinary underground environment was filled with killing intent. Xiao Chun sent out a few palm winds and discovered several more corpses in various states of death. The only thing they had in common was that they all had blank expressions, not understanding what was going on. Among them, Xiao Chun even discovered the corpse of a sovereign emperor. Most of the frigid qi in the surroundings came from the corpse. Xiao Chun understood why this spring dried up. Someone once discovered the secret of the cold Yin spring and came down to explore it. In the end, they all died in there. None of them left. The influence of the cold qi on these corpses suddenly intensified, affecting the flow of the cold Yin spring. The cold spring dried up, and the death gate of the killing formation opened. On the contrary, the life gate might appear only after the cold spring flowed. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chun chopped these frozen corpses into pieces. Then, he sat down cross-legged and cultivated without moving. Right now, he was already in a dead end. If he returned rashly, he would definitely die. Only when the cold Yin spring flowed again could this killing formation disappear, giving him a chance at survival. Xiao Chun drove the ice feather divine incantation, continuously absorbing the surrounding cold qi. Firstly, he could save himself and use this opportunity to break through and comprehend the ice great Tao. Whoosh, whoosh. The surrounding cold qi gathered at Xiao Chun like a storm. Boundless ice feathers danced in the air like goose feathers. Xiao Chun held his breath and focused, not bothering with anything. He had experience with the Thunder Great Tao and the Saber Great Tao. Xiao Chun was very experienced in breaking through the Ice Great Tao. He did not panic, taking his time. Ding dong, ding dong. Time passed slowly. After some time, the sound of water dripping rang out in Xiao Chen's ears. With a thought, it's coming. Xiao Chun continuously absorbed the cold qi. The cold qi plummeted, and the cold Yin spring flowed again. Xiao Chun needed to break through before the cold Yin spring arrived. The life gate would give him only one chance. Charge, charge, charge. A heroic spirit surged in Xiao Chen's heart as he drove the ice feather divine incantation to its limits. His long hair fluttered, and his fine black hair gave off a jade-white light. His entire body radiated cold qi. Then, Xiao Chun saw spots of white light the size of grains of rice appear behind him. In the next moment, the spots of white light suddenly gave off a bright light and turned into a complete Tao disc behind Xiao Chun. Boom! Xiao Chun opened his eyes and saw an ice spring surging over from upstream. It was like a dragon wanting to swallow him up. Before Xiao Chun could feel the ice Tao's great Tao energy, he leaped up and rushed forward. The ice spring gushed endlessly behind him. The life gate of the killing formation was fully open. As Xiao Chun rushed forward, he did not run into any danger. Xiao Chun retraced his original path and finally arrived at the bottom of the well. Without even thinking, his veritable essence energy surged and exploded under his feet. Then he leaped up and soared into the sky. Boom! In the next moment, Shao Chun soared into the sky. Soon, he leaped out of the well and hovered in midair. Shao Chun landed on the ground and retreated to the side with Sang. Then he informed Sang of the situation underground. Sang said with a grave expression, "You ran into a heavenly Tao killing formation. This kind of killing formation merged with the heavenly Tao. It is extremely profound and formless. Being able to return alive is truly luck. It is not fake at all." Shao Chun also felt some lingering fear. If he had continued forward at that time, he might have died in there without realizing it. Sang paused for a moment before saying, "The person who laid this killing formation is extremely profound. If someone dies, it means that the secret of the cold Yin spring was discovered. Furthermore, when someone dies, the spring dries up, no longer attracting the attention of others. This is a very natural form of self-protection. It is truly indescribable." Shao Chun thought about it carefully and also found it somewhat scary. Just at this moment, the cold Yin spring rushed out of the well and turned into a wave soaring into the sky, attracting the two's attention. Spring water gushed out and sprinkled in the surroundings. When the villagers saw this scene, they all stirred up and rushed out. All of them felt wild with joy. Water was scarce in the desolate sea. Having an underground spring was enough to feed hundreds of families. Since this cold Yin spring dried up, the villagers had to travel 50 kilometers to get water from the villages they had a good relationship with. Now that the spring water was flowing again, they no longer had to beg others for water. The overjoyed villagers all smiled as they bathed in the spring water. Several of them took out farming tools to store water, their faces filled with smiles. When Shao Chen and Sang saw this scene, they revealed smiles. Their expressions involuntarily warmed up significantly. No matter how many startling secrets this cold Yin spring had, it was just a well to feed ordinary people. The person who laid down the killing formation was someone who did not miss out on anything. He definitely could not have predicted this. Many times, life was simpler. Not knowing and not understanding was bliss. The person who laid the formation had incredible means and might not be as happy as the simple villagers. Chapter 2036. Who do you think laid this heavenly Tao killing formation? Shao Chen and Sang chatted in soft voices. Sang shrugged and said, "How can I know? Just take your time." As the two spoke, Grandpa Seven walked over with a smile on his face. This was the first time Shao Chen saw Grandpa Seven so happy. When Grandpa Seven saw Sang, he felt slightly surprised. Shao Chen introduced, "This is my friend Sang. Without his help, we would not have been able to draw out the spring water." Many thanks. Sang nodded and said, "You are too polite." Shao Chen thought for a while before asking, "Grandpa Seven, what other ingredients do you need? I'll go get them for you." Right. I made a list. See if you can do it. Don't worry. Leave it to me. The Dragon Race's excellent wine, Heartburn, was not only an excellent wine but also something that could raise one's cultivation. It could even be used when one advanced to sovereign personage. Naturally, Shao Chen would do his best to obtain it. 3 days later, the gushing spring water slowly receded. The cold Yin spring settled in a place similar to the ancient well. Shao Chen busied himself with the various ingredients that Grandpa Seven needed, doing his best to run errands. When Shao Chen had free time, he would read the records left by his grandfather in the village. Today, that little brother from the dragon tribe actually went down into the ancient well. That's an ancient well that our ancestors have warned us not to go down. That little brother went down for a long time. In the middle of the night, I heard strange cries coming from the ancient well. Feeling worried, I came out to take a look. Aside from the exceptionally scarlet blood moon reflected in the water, there was nothing strange. When that little brother came out the next day, he had an excited expression on his face. He told me that he discovered an incredible secret in the well, that he knew where the dragon head was. When Shao Chen reached this part, he showed a slightly stunned expression. Then he hurriedly flipped to the next page. However, the second page talked about something else and did not record anything. The previous generation Heaven Dragon went down the ancient well. Did that little brother go further than me? He even discovered the secret in the ancient well. Xiao Qin showed a grave expression as he looked at the records. Xiao Qin continued reading. Little brother went to the Azure Mountain again today. Every time he went, he showed an unsightly expression. My ancestors told me not to go to the Green Mountain because I would be cursed if I went there. But I know that even if I tell him, he won't listen, so I can only let him be. Every night, we tremble in fear, afraid that the desolate slaves will come out. Ever since little brother came, the desolate slaves seem to take special care of our village. Fortunately, little brother is here. The desolate slaves cannot kill him. I wonder how strong little brother is. Winter is here, and the ground is covered with snow. Little brother hasn't left yet. With him around, the people in the village won't go hungry. It's a blessing. This winter won't be too difficult. Too scary, too scary. It was unknown what array the little brother had set up, but the killing mountain that was thousands of miles away seemed to be roaring angrily. Many streams of light entered the Green Mountain. That Green Mountain trembled, flowing light flickering about. It was as if blood vessels were flowing, as if it was going to come to life in the next moment. The villagers were scared silly. They trembled in fear and did not dare to go out. But the little brother didn't stop. He flew above the Green Mountain. I saw the blood moon and the great sun appear at the same time. Many, many terrifying people charged over. The little brother seemed to be injured. I looked through the window and saw that the little brother seemed to have lured them into the ancient well. 3 days passed, but the little brother did not come out. Those terrifying people did not come out either. It has been several months. I know that the little brother is definitely fine. However, he definitely won't come again. The village is finally at peace. The little brother really did not come again? Xiao Qin closed the notebook and pushed off the ground. When he arrived at the cold spring, he felt an urge to jump in immediately. It turned out that the people below were all lured down by the Heaven Dragon. He tricked all those sovereign emperors and sovereign personages to death. The Heaven Dragon was indeed a ruthless person. The old village chief was right. The Green Mountain was indeed cursed. The Heaven Dragon's ending was truly miserable. One could not go to the Green Mountain casually. However, the blood moon and the great sun appeared in the desolate sea's night sky at the same time. What exactly did the Heaven Dragon do? What exactly did he discover? Did he know why the blue dragon was destroyed? Did he know who the person who set this up was? After that, he was locked up in the starry Heaven's Dragon prison, suffering for eternity. Xiao Qian's reasoning suddenly felt somewhat terrifying. If the Heaven Dragon was locked up in the starry Heaven's Dragon prison not because he provoked the purple gold dragon emperor but because he discovered a startling secret, then who exactly did he offend? Why was he even more horrifying than the purple gold dragon emperor? After looking at the ancient well and calming down, Xiao Qian no longer had any impulses. He did not have the cultivation of the Heaven Dragon yet. It was hard to say if he could survive after going down. Big brother, what are you looking at? Xiao Qian turned his head and saw Qing Chen. He had not seen this little girl for several days. She was no longer like when he first saw her, crying. She was already satisfied with returning to the village and being able to take care of her younger brother. Although Xiao Qian said that he would not return, he actually could not bear to part with her. Let me take a look as well. Qing Chen hopped over and leaned against the mouth of the well to take a look. Xiao Qian quickly turned around, worried that this little girl would fall in. How strange. Why is there a moon in the water? Isn't it daytime now? There is a moon? Xiao Qian went over to take a look and found nothing strange about the water in the well. Just as he was about to say something, Qing Chen said, "The moon slipped away again." Xiao Qian immediately laughed hoarsely. Then he carried Qing Chen to the side and warned, "Don't come over again. This well is very deep. If you fall in, you will die." "Right, I'll listen to Big Brother." Xiao Qian rubbed Qing Chen's head and said, "Go back and take good care of your younger brother." As Xiao Qian watched the other party leave, he revealed a faint smile. Then he raised his head and looked into the distance, at the Azure Mountain in the distance. The lonely mountain peak looked crisp and clear. Not a single blade of grass grew on it as it stood tall on the ground. The villagers within 5,000 kilometers worshipped it. Xiao Chen still had to go and take a look. What exactly was the connection between the Azure Mountain and the ancient well? He had to make a trip there to figure it out. Xiao Chen gently pushed off with his feet and flew towards the Azure Mountain. Are you really going? This mountain is cursed. It will bring bad luck. Sang reminded Xiao Chen from the divine universe stele. How can a cultivator believe this? If there is a curse, we just have to remove it. There was no lack of secret techniques for curses in the Great Thousand Realms. Curses were not that mysterious to cultivators. When Xiao Chen saw the nearby Azure Mountain, he realized that it was still some distance away. The distance between them and the village was very far. In just a short while, they had left the village far behind. By the time Xiao Chen got close, the sky had already turned dark. An incredibly vast and majestic setting sun slowly set in the distance, half of it already disappearing into the horizon. Every time one saw the desolate sea's setting sun, they would feel shocked, sensing its vastness and boundlessness. It was just like the desolate sea's blood moon, which felt cold and sinister. They were polar opposites. Did you sense anything? Sang asked softly as he appeared beside Xiao Chen. The two were still 10 kilometers from the Azure Mountain. They did not enter rashly. They extended out their spiritual sense and carefully checked. Xiao Chen did indeed feel something strange. The space around the Azure Mountain was exceptionally cold and sinister. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense sensed resentment, invisible to the naked eye, spreading everywhere. Indeed, ordinary people could not get close. If they did, they would immediately go crazy from the negative emotions. However, aside from this, Xiao Chen also felt a sense of familiarity. It was like a voice in his heart was calling out to him. Don't move first. I'll go over and take a look. Xiao Chen stepped forward alone, walking towards the Azure Mountain step by step. Immediately, countless negative emotions assaulted him. Pain, dissatisfaction, and rage filled Xiao Chen's mind, trying to drive him crazy. Xiao Chen maintained his calm as he slowly approached the Azure Mountain. To Xiao Chen, 10 kilometers only took a few steps to cross. However, these few steps were not easy. Instead, it felt like he was walking on thin ice, every step taken cautiously. When Xiao Chen arrived at the foot of the mountain, he looked up at the Azure Mountain and felt a sense of familiarity. However, just as Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and touched the Azure Mountain, the demonic cloud heaven-swallowing art in his body instantly suppressed the purple thunder divine incantation. The demonic cloud heaven-swallowing art circulated wildly, and demonic chi spread out from his body. The entire Azure Mountain exuded strands of black aura. Xiao Chen quickly let go and took a step back, sweat pouring down his face. What happened to you earlier? You scared me to death. There was no movement for 4 hours. Sang said worriedly as he rushed over to Xiao Chen's side. For hours. However, Xiao Chen clearly felt that it was only an instant. He was greatly startled when he looked around and discovered that the sky had already turned completely dark. The blood moon already hung high in the night sky. 4 hours had really passed. This startled Xiao Chen. What happened earlier? I'll go up and take a look. This Azure Mountain is somewhat strange. I have to figure it out. Xiao Chen gently pushed off the ground and turned into a bolt of lightning, soaring up. After a while, his figure appeared and landed at the place where the solitary peak was cut off. The instant Xiao Chen's feet touched the ground, he immediately felt boundless demonic chi pour into his body. His eyes instantly turned scarlet. Sang was greatly startled when he saw Xiao Chen standing under the huge blood moon. His white robes and long hair fluttered chaotically, and his eyes turned scarlet. Under the blood moon on the Azure Mountain, Xiao Chen looked like he was in the moon, looking incredibly strange. Scatter! Xiao Chen shouted and scattered all the demonic chi in his body. Then he circulated the purple thunder divine incantation at full power, suppressing the demonic cloud heaven-swallowing art. The scarlet in Xiao Chen's eyes slowly receded, and his mind recovered. However, he still felt some lingering fear. Just at this moment, Xiao Chen, who was looking into the distance on the lone peak, suddenly frowned. A fiery light soared into the sky where the village was. It was destroyed. Chapter 2037. Fire lit up everywhere where the village was. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat as he leaped down from the azure mountain. The demon blood vulture turned into a beam of red light and caught Xiao Chen, who had jumped down. Then, they rushed towards the village. Whoosh! Sang gently leaped onto the demon blood vulture's back. When he looked into the distance, he immediately felt startled. Oh no! The village is in trouble. No village would be on fire for no reason. In the desolate sea, which was filled with roving bandits, such a scene could only mean one thing. The roving bandits broke into the village. Every once in a while, roving bandits would sweep through a village in the desolate sea. However, when Xiao Chen saw the village that he had stayed in for so long suddenly suffer a calamity, he felt an indescribable rage in his heart. At this moment, outside the burning village, wooden stakes were hammered into the ground. A villager was tied to each wooden stake. Hundreds of roving bandits rode ferocious horses as they looked at this group of people with sinister smiles. Put, put, put. Iron Egg's flesh was lacerated, dripping with blood. However, he gritted his teeth and did not make a sound. Bastard! Brat, weren't you very awe-inspiring earlier? You killed a few of my brothers. Why are you not awe-inspiring now? This old man will whip you to death. The bandit leader held his whip and lashed it a few times. Then he spat on Iron Egg. Iron Egg's eyes turned red as he gritted his teeth. However, he could not do anything. Too strong. This group of people is too strong. Even if Big Brother Xiao taught me a saber technique and can block these bandits, I will not be able to last one strike before the demon envoys. But, this group of bastards. Why did they burn down the village, not even letting off the elderly and children? So. All the villagers, young and old, were tied to the wooden stakes. Several children were so frightened that they started crying loudly. Their cries sounded incredibly miserable in the night. However, this group of roving bandits laughed without a care in the world. Some of them even ran over to torture the elderly and children. You bastards! Come at me if you have any problems. Iron Egg roared in dissatisfaction as he vomited a mouthful of blood. The bandit leader had a dark complexion and a tall and sturdy figure. He revealed a cruel smile. You finally spoke. Don't worry. In any case, all of you will die later. Bruiser kept struggling against the chains on his body, causing the wooden stake to sway back and forth, but to no avail. The bandit leader laughed. I don't have time to play with you. Behave yourself. But another whip landed on Bruiser's mouth. Bruiser's flesh split open, and the pain almost made him faint. The leader of the roving bandits walked over to the wooden stake that village chief 7th was tied to. Not far from this wooden stake stood a cold and arrogant young man. The young man was wearing black armor and a blood-colored cloak. There was a strange pattern embroidered on the chest of the armor, which should be the symbol of a certain sect. Sir, please let them go. This time it's my fault. If there's any lord, you can just blame me. The 7th lord looked at the young man and said in a choked voice. The young man remained expressionless as he said indifferently, I gave you a chance. I said that if you come across a pure body, you have to hand it over immediately. Did I say that? When Grandpa 7th heard that, his aged face trembled slightly, but he could not say anything in response. Answer me. Did I say that? Sir said that. Grandpa 7th lowered his head and answered softly. Since you know, why hide it? Our Heavenly Slaughter sect has been in this region for many years, and we have been upholding justice by interacting with you. As long as you hand over the children on time, we will not come and cause trouble for you. If you hand over a pure body, you will even receive a reward. The young man paused for a moment before continuing indifferently, if I do not kill one to warn 100, how will I convince others in the future? Tell me, do you think you deserve to be killed? Grandpa 7th remained silent, unable to say anything. Pumph. I gave you face but you rejected it. You have to show some colors before you know who's better. You mortals are really despicable. Continue whipping. The young man ordered, not wasting his breath. What are you waiting for? Didn't you hear what Lord Demon Envoy said? Hurry up. The bandit leader quickly shouted in a fawning manner. Then he smiled and said, "Lord Demon Envoy, there is no need to bother with these lowly commoners. Just rest at the side. Teach them to us, lest you dirty your hands." The young man showed a cold expression as he said indifferently, "Torture them until midnight before you can kill them. Tell your subordinates to pay attention. What I need are the souls with the heaviest resentment. Don't mess it up." However, right after the young man spoke, his expression suddenly changed and he looked up. He saw a large bird covered in scarlet flames in the night sky, spreading its wings as it flew over, exuding an overwhelming demonic nature. A demon blood vulture. The young man's eyes lit up. Furthermore, it was a mutated demon blood vulture, a peak-quality demonic pet that the demonic Tao dreamed of. Just as the young man was about to ask who his friend was, countless saber lights flashed in the night sky. Countless saber lights flickered in the night. In the next moment, all the roving bandits in front of the wooden dummies were minced into pieces by the saber lights without exception. The bandit leader was so frightened that his legs went numb. He took a few steps back, stumbled, and fell heavily to the ground. The black-armored young man's expression immediately turned extremely sullen. As he stared at the descending Xiao Chen, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "Sir, what is the meaning of this?" Xiao Chen did not reply to the black-armored young man. Instead, he swept his gaze over the villagers on the wooden pillars. All the villagers, young and old, regardless of gender, were tortured. No one escaped. After taking a few steps, Xiao Chen arrived before Iron Egg. As Iron Egg looked at Xiao Chen, he started crying. "Big brother Xiao, I'm useless." Iron Egg had many things he wanted to say. However, when he truly saw Xiao Chen, his chest filled with rage, but he did not know where to start. All the things he wanted to say were contained in these 3 words. "You've suffered, Iron Egg." Xiao Chen patted Iron Egg's shoulder, calming his emotions. His heart bled as he did his best to suppress the murderous intent in his heart. "Friend, I advise you not to interfere in the matters of our Heavenly Slaughter sect. The Heavenly Slaughter sect is not an existence that you can afford to offend." The black-armored cultivator felt that although Xiao Chen was not a sovereign personage, he felt immense pressure for some reason. Feeling somewhat unconfident, the black-armored cultivator used the name of his sect to scare Xiao Chen away. "The Heavenly Slaughter sect?" Xiao Chen muttered to himself, entering deep thought. "That's right. It is the rank 7 Heavenly Slaughter sect. Not to mention you, even the major sects of the northern region and eastern region would not dare to interfere in the matters of our Heavenly Slaughter sect. I see that you are a dragon race cultivator, so I'll give you some face and let it go this time. Quickly withdraw." When the black-armored cultivator saw that the Heavenly Slaughter sect's name was effective, he slowly regained his confidence. Then electric light flashed, and a fist light charged at the black-armored cultivator at an incredible speed. The black-armored cultivator wanted to retreat, so he quickly tried to block. However, he missed. Bang! The fist light struck the black-armored cultivator's face, and 200 cauldron force instantly exploded. This early-stage holy venerate Heavenly Slaughter sect demonic envoy died on the spot, not even leaving a corpse behind. Kassiet. On the other side, Sang helped the villagers undo their chains. At the same time, he infused gentle veritable essence energy into them to treat everyone's injuries. Soon, Sang arrived beside Xiao Chen. He whispered, "Fortunately, we arrived in time. Everyone is fine. However, I did not see little Qing Chen." "I did not see little Qing Chen?" Before leaving, Xiao Chen had patted the little girl's head. The smile on her face had yet to fade from his mind. Xiao Chen walked over to the village chief and sighed, "Grandpa 7, stop hiding things from me. Why did you chase little Qing Chen out back then?" Grandpa 7 wept as he replied, "Little Qing Chen has a pure Yin body. She is a good cauldron for the demonic Tao sects to cultivate their evil cultivation techniques. As long as she was discovered, it would bring disaster to the entire village. However, this old man could not take the initiative to send her out. So, I could only chase her out." When Xiao Chen heard that, he felt slightly stunned. The many cultivation techniques of the demonic Tao sects did indeed require a pure Yin body. Grandpa Seven was right. Ordinary people could not resist demonic Tao cultivators at all. Xiao Chen also understood why Grandpa Seven did not tell Xiao Chen at the start. The demonic Tao and the righteous Tao coexisted in the desolate sea. The demonic Tao even suppressed the righteous Tao. Similar things had happened countless times. Which group of bandits did not have a large sect supporting them? In Grandpa Seven's opinion, telling Xiao Chen was sending him to his death. Perhaps Grandpa Seven had seen many hot-blooded people in his life. When they saw injustice, they drew their weapons and attacked. However, they ended up losing their lives. Time had worn away this old man's sharpness. When facing the desolate sea, his heart had already died. Grandpa Seven did not tell Xiao Chen because he wanted to deal with it himself. He wanted to seek peace for the village at the Peach Blossom Wine Festival. At some point, Sang arrived carrying the bandit leader. This fellow wanted to run, but I caught him. After seeing Xiao Chen's means, the bandit leader was so frightened that he was at a loss for what to do, continuously begging for mercy. My lord, spare me. I was forced. Xiao Chen looked at Sang and said, help keep an eye on things. I'll go and save little Qing Chen. Don't worry. Leave this to me. Xiao Chen grabbed the bandit leader and leaped into the air, landing on the demon blood vulture expressionlessly. Under the illumination of the blood moon, Xiao Chen's delicate face looked scarily gloomy. It was as Grandpa Seven said. Blood flowed every day in the desolate sea. Even a sage could not stop it. However, Xiao Chen had his own principles in his heart. He could not kill all the demonic Tao sects in the world. However, those who touched his friends had to pay the price. A man's courage should not be worn away by time. Chapter 2038. If Xiao Chen wanted to save Qing Chen, he had to know where she was sent. The Heavenly Slaughter sect's black-armored cultivator had already been killed by Xiao Chen. The only one who knew this was the bandit leader. This was also why Xiao Chen did not kill the bandit leader. Come up. Xiao Chen lifted the bandit leader onto the demon blood vulture and asked coldly, where is Qing Chen sent to? The bandit leader's eyes darted around as he cried, My lord, this lowly one really does not know such a secret. Please spare me. Let me go, and I will give you all the resources I have accumulated over the years. Xiao Chen smiled coldly. You think I am interested in your resources? You are not going to speak, right? With a slap, Xiao Chen sent the bandit leader flying off the demon blood vulture's back. At this moment, the bandit leader was more than 10 kilometers above the ground. Given the bandit leader's cultivation, he would be severely injured or crippled even if he did not die. The bandit leader immediately screamed in the air, his complexion pale. I'll speak. Pull me up. Gee. The demon blood vulture let out a strange laugh as it swooped down and flapped its wings. It treated the bandit leader like a toy, flapping its wings in the air. Sometimes, it would toss him up several kilometers. Sometimes, he would fall 10 kilometers. After a few times, the bandit leader's soul nearly left its scabbard in fright. It's done. Xiao Chen sent a voice projection to the demon blood vulture. Got it, master. The demon blood vulture had enough fun. It flapped its wings, and a strong suction pulled the bandit leader onto its back. The bandit leader was still startled, unable to recover his wits for a long time. Then, he suddenly met Xiao Chen's gaze and said quickly, I'll speak. The bandits of various sizes in the vicinity have to hand over 10 girls every 3 months. There is a mountain manor on a mountain range in the north. That is their stronghold. That girl should still be in the mountain manor. My lord, I already said it. Spare me. How many groups of bandits does the Heavenly Slaughter sect control? How many girls do they need each time? There are too many bandits. They need about 400 to 500 girls each time. Xiao Chen clicked his tongue. He could roughly guess what these little girls would be used for by the demonic path sections. They were either used as cauldrons to cultivate evil techniques, or they were used to collect Yin souls to refine ghost penance. He just didn't expect there to be so many of them. Xiao Chen had long known that demonic Tao cultivators were vicious and merciless. For the sake of becoming stronger, they would do anything. Today, he finally witnessed it for himself. "Sir, the villa is over there." On the demon blood vulture's back, Xiao Chun looked in the direction that the bandit leader pointed. He saw a brightly lit mountain manor in the mountain range ahead. However, there was something strange about the light. It looked like a ghost flame flickering with a glossy green light, looking exceptionally scary in the desolate sea's night sky. "Sir, we've arrived at the place. Shouldn't you let me go?" The bandit leader carefully begged for mercy. "When did I agree to let you go?" Xiao Chun snorted coldly. He had never agreed to let this person off. Given what the bandit leader had done, he would not regret dying 10,000 times. Before the bandit leader could speak, Xiao Chun tossed the bandit leader down. The demon blood vulture opened its mouth and swallowed the bandit leader. "The meat is really sour and not tasty at all," the demon blood vulture muttered as it digested the meat. Xiao Chun could not be bothered with the picky demon blood vulture. He turned the meat into a ring and wore it on his finger. Then he put on the death god mask and silently approached the mountain manor in the dark night. This mountain manor should be just one of the heavenly slaughter sect's strongholds in this area. However, this stronghold was heavily guarded, and there were even spirit formations and restrictions around it. The formations and restrictions layered over each other, and a huge, formless existence encased the entire mountain manor. Xiao Chun opened his heavenly eye, and the formless existence slowly became clearer. That was a mutated beast with a ghostly face made of countless souls. The horrifying ghostly face hovered above the mountain manor, its body encasing the entire mountain manor. The heavenly slaughter sect truly lived up to being a rank 7 demonic Dao sect. This was just a stronghold, and its restrictions were already so terrifying. If not for Xiao Chun having so many trump cards, he would not have been able to do anything and could only return in defeat. The ghostly face's eyes scanned the surroundings. However, it could not detect Xiao Chun. The death god mask isolated all auras. Right now, Xiao Chun was like air. Even a sovereign emperor could not figure out his true identity. After silently sneaking in, Xiao Chun leaped over the many guards and landed on the wall of the mountain manor. Then he slowly removed the mask on his face. The mask could be considered one of Xiao Chun's trump cards. If he used the mask to save others, someone with ulterior motives would find out that he was the masked person related to the village. Since Xiao Chun already snuck in, there was no need to wear the mask. The moment Xiao Chun landed, he heard weeping. He looked in the direction of the sound and saw Xiao Chun sneaking through the many buildings of the mountain manor. Soon he arrived at the source of the sound. This was a dilapidated house. Xiao Chun lay on it and sent in his spiritual sense. Xiao Chun saw more than 300-odd young girls locked up in there. "Cry, cry, cry. You bunch of stinky girls. If you keep crying, I won't give you anything to eat." The door opened, and an old woman with a withered face and a walking stick walked in. Then she cursed ferociously. The old woman showed a terrifying expression. When she roared, the many young girls no longer dared to cry, only silently sobbing. This old woman is a sovereign personage. Xiao Chun frowned slightly. He did not act rashly, continuing to observe. The old woman continuously searched the young girls. After a while, her gaze landed on Qin Chin. The old woman squeezed out a smile and walked over with a smile. "Come, you must be the new girl that was sent over. Don't be afraid. Granny dotes on you." However, Qin Chen was frightened. She retreated continuously. Soon she could no longer move, so she retreated to a corner. "Come, let this granny touch you." The old woman held her walking stick, smiling somewhat horribly. Before Qin Chen could refuse, she placed her hand on Qin Chen's head. A dim light came from the old woman's hand and entered Qin Chen's body. Qin Chen immediately closed her eyes, feeling somewhat pained. Her body gave off a white light. At first, this white light had some green light mixed in. However, in the end, the white light on Qin Chen's body became pure and translucent, as white as divine jade. A faint cold light appeared in the surroundings. When Qin Chen reopened her eyes, they also gave off a jade-like light. A cold moon slowly appeared behind Qin Chen amid the cold light. Extreme Yin body. This startled the old woman, and she quickly let go. Then she rejoiced. It really is an extreme Een body. It really is the legendary extreme Een body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The mysterious phenomenon earlier startled several experts in the mountain manor. In the shabby thatched cottage, a few old men followed a middle-aged man in black armor and quickly walked in. Manor Lord, this girl has a peak-quality pure Een body, the legendary extreme Een body. When the old woman saw the black-armored, middle-aged man, she quickly reported the good news. She looked like she had become several hundred years younger. The black-armored, middle-aged man stared at Qing Chen for a long time. Then he revealed a smile. It really is an extreme Een body. The 8th prince will definitely be happy with this gift. Send this girl to our sex branch in the desolate sea. We need to send her back to the dynasty quickly, lest something unexpected happens. Up on the roof, Xiao Chen thought, if I had come any later, it would have been too late. Qing Chen actually has an extreme Een body. Such a body was extremely rare. It was a physique that would drive some demonic Dao cultivators crazy. Stand guard outside. Don't let anyone in. I'll send a message to the main sect and make some preparations. The black-armored, middle-aged man glanced at Qing Chen, feeling wild joy in his heart. He had done a great service this time. Soon, this group of people left one after another, leaving behind a confused Qing Chen. Up on the roof, Xiao Chen thought for a while. Then, his figure leaped up and caught up to the black-armored, middle-aged man, jumping onto the roof. Inside the house, the black-armored, middle-aged man took out a medallion and used his spiritual sense to send a message about Qing Chen. The black-armored, middle-aged man did not give Xiao Chen any chance to stop him. Damn it! Xiao Chen cursed. Then he shattered the roof beam and punched at the black-armored, middle-aged man. The sudden appearance of Xiao Chen startled the black-armored, middle-aged man. In his fluster, he quickly punched. Bang! Who knew, Xiao Chen's fist light contained frightening force. A faint azure-colored dragon-shaped vital qi gathered in his fist light. 200 cauldron force instantly exploded. The black-armored, middle-aged man vomited a mouthful of blood as he went flying back. His vital qi shook the surroundings. The entire house instantly exploded. Someone sneaked in. The entire mountain manor immediately turned chaotic. The hidden cultivators emerged and stood behind the black-armored, middle-aged man. The atmosphere immediately turned tense. Chapter 2039. The sudden explosion threw the entire mountain manor into chaos. A few of the black-armored, middle-aged man's subordinates supported him. His expression appeared somewhat unsightly. Where did this junior come from? To think that he dares to cause trouble in the heavenly slaughter sect space. The old woman that Xiao Chen saw earlier shouted as she looked at Xiao Chen while holding her walking stick. The other party looked like they had the advantage in numbers. However, the truly powerful ones were the black-armored, middle-aged man and the old woman, two initial sovereign personages, whom Xiao Chen feared. After Xiao Chen injured the black-armored, middle-aged man with one punch, the remaining old woman was no match for Xiao Chen. You do not need to know who I am. Today, none of you can leave. Xiao Chen looked at the people in the mountain manor. His white robes showed an indifferent expression, appearing extremely cold. To think that such a demonic Dao sect like the Heavenly Slaughter sect raised young girls like pigs and dogs, using them as cultivation furnaces. They were utterly devoid of conscience and deserved to be killed. How arrogant! You are just an insignificant holy venerate, yet you are ridiculously arrogant. Kill him. The old woman smiled coldly, and the many demonic Dao cultivators behind her stepped forward. Demonic flames surged from their bodies, and their auras soared. They used martial techniques that Xiao Chen rarely came into contact with as they charged over. When they worked together, their auras were boundlessly vast. The dense demonic qi in the night looked exceptionally terrifying. Xiao Chen did not need to waste time with this group of people. Relying on his acquired divine body, Xiao Chen circulated his vital qi, and a faint azure vital qi merged into a blue dragon. A casual punch brought out a strong dragon might. Furthermore, his vital qi reached a startling 200 cauldron force. Bang! 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 These holy venerates were demonic Tao cultivators of varying strength. However, Xiaoqin easily tore them apart like he was breaking dry branches. Practically no one could take a punch from Xiaoqin. In mere moments, the demonic Tao cultivators charging over turned into blood splattering in the air. Xiaoqian's white robes remained untainted by the blood splattering in the air. His dragon might did not appear angry. Damn it! He's a body cultivator. Use the sky-killing array to kill him. The black-armored cultivator caught his breath and led the others back. Then, he saw the disciples taking out their formation flags. The ghost-faced soul beast that shrouded the mountain manor roared angrily. It turned from formless to corporeal and lunged at Xiaoqin. The light of the sun and moon. Xiaoqin snorted coldly. The sun and moon behind him rose into the sky at the same time, instantly overshadowing the ghost-faced exotic beast's terrifying aura. Xiaoqian's will of soul was much stronger than his cultivation. His will of soul had broken through the shackles of a sovereign personage long ago. The mysterious phenomenon of the sun and moon shining together was comparable to the soul will of a great perfection sovereign personage. Tao of thunder. Accompanied by the sun and moon shining together phenomenon, the peak consummation thunder great Tao appeared. Xiaoqin did not hold back at all. He used the peak thunder great Tao energy, his soul energy, and the blue dragon's vital qi to punch. The explosive fist light was like the blazing sun in the night sky, illuminating the surroundings. Immediately, the mountain manor became as bright as day. This punch instantly blasted the ghost-faced exotic beast charging at Xiaoqian into ashes. The old woman holding a walking stick looked at Xiaoqin incredulously. This is impossible. You are so young. How can you have such a strong will of soul? Who exactly are you? Do your elders know what you have done? Now, the old woman suspected that the unremarkable Xiaoqin might be a true inheritor of a rank 7 sect. Or perhaps he was the scion of an ancient noble clan. Otherwise, a holy venerate could not possibly erupt with such terrifying strength. With such strength, Xiaoqian would be considered a peak existence among the heavenly slaughter sect's true inheritors. The black-armored, middle-aged man said with a sullen expression, "He is a dragon race cultivator, however, he only has a mixed blood dragon bloodline. No matter who you are or what your background is, you have already caused great trouble. No one can save you." When Xiaoqin heard that, he smiled and said, "Interesting. Even at this moment, you are still concerned about who I am. Think about how the two of you are going to survive first." Supreme Dragon Fist, leaderless dragons. Whoosh! Veritable essence energy surged, and his qi and blood surged. Dragon roars rang out as Xiaoqin punched. Xiaoqian's entire body trembled, and killing qi spread out. Then, it merged with his veritable essence energy and turned into strands of dragon qi moving about in the sky, materializing thousands of dragon images. A dragon image appeared in the sky. Guided by the force of Xiaoqian's punch, it swooped down. Countless dragon images swept through the surroundings, attacking all the demonic Tao cultivators in the mountain manor indiscriminately. Bang! 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 The many dragon images flattened the mountain manor in an instant. Miserable cries rang out. Many of the demonic Tao cultivators who could not block vomited blood when the dragon images crashed into them, severely injuring them. The Supreme Dragon Fist was the dragon race's most ferocious fist technique. The moment it was executed, it showed a boundlessly tyrannical scene. After Xiaoqin advanced to peak consummation Holy Venerate, this was the first time he used the Supreme Dragon Fist against an enemy. This resulted in a startling scene. Those whose cultivations were weaker than Xiaoqian's were instantly severely injured by the first punch, losing their combat prowess. Among the thousands of dragon images, only the black-armored, middle-aged man and that old woman remained, stubbornly resisting. Damn it! What fist technique is this? Why have I never heard of it before? The ferocious and tyrannical dragon images containing boundless killing qi continuously attacked. Every time they shattered a dragon image, it would shatter it. Every time they shattered a dragon image, The black-armored, middle-aged man and the old woman felt their arms go numb. Their chi and blood surged, and their internal organs slowly ruptured. Soon, they found themselves unable to do as they wished. Commanding the dragons. Xiaochun did not show mercy after gaining the upper hand. He roared, releasing the rage in his heart as he roared. The berserk dragon images all calmed down, listening to his command and flying back to his body. This allowed Xiaochun's aura to soar. His body erupted with a tyrannical aura that made the dragons submit to him. Xiaochun punched. Using the unparalleled tyrannical aura of commanding the dragons, his fist aura surged out like an overwhelming wave. Whoosh! The black-armored, middle-aged man and the old woman felt a strong wind blowing in their ears. Their hair became disheveled as they retreated continuously. Before this tyrannical fist aura, not only could they not stand stably, but they could not even open their mouths. Their bodies were forced back involuntarily. Before the fist light arrived, this fist aura filled with killing chi tore terrifying cracks on the surface of their bodies. They could only watch as the tyrannical fist light surged over like a surging wave. The two felt despair in their hearts, and extreme horror appeared in their eyes. Bang! However, no matter how unwilling they were, it was useless before this unreasonable fist technique, the strongest ferocious fist technique of the dragon race. When the fist light arrived, the two vomited a mouthful of blood. Their bones shattered, their internal organs ruptured, and their souls shook. They fell to the ground, twitching. Tut. Xiaochun remained expressionless as he flew forward and stomped twice, crushing the two's heads. They were just two demonic Dao sect trash. There was no need to take pity on them. Xiaochun looked around. Aside from the dilapidated hut that Xiaochun took care of, the entire mountain manor was destroyed. Xiaochun did not rush over. Instead, he patrolled the interior of the mountain manor. He killed all the fish that slipped through the net, not leaving a single one alive. Xiaochun was not a ruthless person. However, he understood that evil people could not be spared, and scourges would last for 1,000 years. Xiaochun stood before the ruins of a formation in the courtyard for a long time. A pile of corpses lay before him. Chapter 2040. By the time Xiaochun returned to the village, it was already noon. The blazing sun hung high in the sky, shining brightly. With Sang's help, the village had more or less recovered. Most of the villagers were emotionally stable. They started to help each other, repairing the destroyed houses and tidying up the messy things. As they helped each other, the villagers slowly revealed smiles on their faces. This was how things were in the desolate sea. To many ordinary people, living one more day was already a blessing. Living in the desolate sea was already a terrible thing. Resources were scarce, the environment was harsh, and bandits roamed the land. They had long since accepted life and death. The desolate sea's citizens showed a simple attitude that did not care about life and death under their valiant appearance. Go back first. Don't overthink. Xiaochun patted Qingchen's head as he said softly. Qingchen nodded and quickly left. However, she kept turning her head back. Xiaochun sent her off with Xiaoqin, feeling extremely reluctant to part as she returned home. Seeing Sang Chao walk over, Xiaochun nodded slightly. Then he told Sang about last night's events and some of his thoughts. Sang shook his head and said, "Don't even think about destroying the Heavenly Slaughter Sect branch. The two sovereign personages from last night were only initial perfection sovereign personages. They probably could not even become outer sect elders in a rank 7 sect. Furthermore, you severely injured one of them. That's why they won so easily. The branches have been operating for at least 100 years. They definitely have many small perfection sovereign personages and even a great perfection sovereign personage." There was a huge difference in strength between initial perfection sovereign personages and small perfection sovereign personages. As for great perfection sovereign personages, that was even more so. Xiaochun relied on the will of soul of a great perfection sovereign personage, the acquired divine body, the 3 great Tao, and the supreme dragon fist. He could fight a small perfection sovereign personage and even defeat some of the weaker ones. However, he would definitely lose to a great perfection sovereign personage. I need to advance to sovereign personage quickly. Xiao Chen felt some pressure. However, the acquired divine body required too many resources. In reality, if not for that flask of heartburn, a peak holy venerate would need at least a year. The flask of heartburn that Qin Zhuolin gave Xiao Chen was a great help. On the way back, I thought about it carefully. Wiping out a branch is indeed a bit risky. Think of another compromise. The Heaven Fiends sect branch that controls this region has about 80 strongholds. Xiao Chen paused for a moment and continued, if we uproot all 80 strongholds, it will take about 10 years to rebuild them. The Great Desolate was too vast. Without these strongholds, they would not be able to control the roving bandits. It is impossible for the Heavenly Slaughter Sect's branch to control this area. Within 10 years, the village should be safe. The attention of the Heavenly Slaughter Sect's branch should also be attracted by me. Sang asked softly, what about 10 years later? If I participate in the Peach Blossom Wine Festival, as long as I get a promise from that big shot, I will not have to worry about anything for 100 years. 100 years later? 100 years later, my name will shake the desolate sea. With Xiao Chen's name around, I can ensure the safety of the village. Sang felt somewhat flabbergasted. At this moment, the sharpness of Xiao Chen's body made it hard for others to look directly at him. He said sullenly, it is still somewhat risky. If we are not careful, we might run into a branch elder patrolling. What do you mean by 100 years later? Xiao Chen smiled calmly and said, if I don't take some risks, how can I resolve the problem? I do need some battles to temper myself when I break through to sovereign personage. I'll just treat it as cultivation. Seeing that Xiao Chen had made up his mind, Sang did not try to dissuade him. Xiao Chen had always been swift and decisive. That night, he set off silently under the cover of night. When the sun set, Xiao Chen returned to the village with some minor injuries. In the following days, Xiao Chen's return became increasingly irregular. Sometimes 2 days, sometimes 3 days, and sometimes as long as 7 or 8 days. Grandpa Seven felt somewhat worried. He asked Sang several times, but Sang did not say much. He only told Grandpa Seven to brew wine and prepare for the Peach Blossom Festival. However, with Grandpa Seven's experience, he could tell that Xiao Chen's killing chi had grown heavier every time he returned. Most of the time, the blood on Xiao Chen's body had not dried yet. Then, Grandpa Seven received news from the nearby villages, saying that the number of roving bandits had decreased. There were rumors that a white-clad youth had appeared recently and was sweeping up the bandits in this area. Some people even saw the white-clad youth kill the demon envoys. He attacked. The shock in Grandpa Seven's heart was somewhat indescribable. He had experienced too much in his life. He had seen many righteous Tao cultivators boasting. However, in reality, these people were just acting on a whim. Either they were young and rash, losing their lives because they underestimated their enemies, or they gave up when they met with some resistance. Grandpa Seven even saw righteous Tao cultivators and demonic Tao cultivators walking together, chatting happily. At Grandpa Seven's age, he had already seen through many things. He already knew about the desolate sea's environment. It was the result of the major characters compromising. In the eyes of those true experts, ordinary people like them were no different from ants. They had never been important. There was no right or wrong in the desolate sea, only benefits. Hence, when Xiao Chen first asked Xiao Chen about it, Grandpa Seven did not tell him why he chased Qin Chen away. However, now, it was this somewhat taciturn person who directly took action without saying a word. Gradually, many of the nearby villages began to sense something different. A month had passed, and the bandits that could be seen almost every day were nowhere to be seen. Some rumors also started to spread. Recently, a strange bird appeared that specialized in killing roving bandits. It could swallow up more than 100 roving bandits in one bite. When that huge bird saw the demon envoys, its eyes lit up as it chased after them. The master of the strange bird was the white-clad man who had been sweeping up the nearby roving bandits. However, Grandpa Seven and the people in the village started to worry, as Xiao Chen had not returned for half a month already. Qing Chen would wait on a pile of rocks at the village entrance every day. Under the setting sun, a little girl could be seen waiting in the distance at dusk every day. However, Qing Chen would return disappointed every day. Rumors continued to spread. Some people saw the white-clad man with a pale complexion being chased by 7 or 8 demon envoys, appearing extremely dangerous. Some people also saw a bloodied white-clad man lying on the sea of sand in the distance. No one knew if he was dead or alive. A large scarlet bird stopped beside him. However, when these people approached, the scarlet bird scared them away, causing them to flee in a fluster. The village's worries seemed to have become reality. Xiao Qin had not returned for a month already. This, combined with the bad rumors, made the people exceptionally worried. Sang guessed that Xiao Qin might have fallen into a trap. At the start, Xiao Qin would return once every 2 or 3 days. After a series of incidents, he would definitely be on guard. No matter how cautious Xiao Qin was, he would not be able to avoid it. Even if a rank 7 demonic Dao sect was only one of the 12 branches in the Desolate Sea, it still could not be underestimated. It was not something that one person could deal with easily. Later, more bad news came. The roving bandits that had been scared away started to wander again. Rumors said that the white-clad man died. Rumors said that the white-clad man startled a terrifying major character and got swallowed up by a horrifying ghost-faced soul beast. Some roving bandits also started to appear near Grandpa Seven's village. Qing Chen was warned not to go to the village entrance again. It had not been peaceful recently. Grandpa Seven felt somewhat nervous. Sang told him that it was fine and that he should focus on brewing wine and preparing for the Peach Blossom Wine Festival. The villagers all felt somewhat depressed. Many of them thought that Xiao Qin was already dead. However, there were always people who did not believe it. Qing Chen was one of them. Every day, the little girl would sneak out and look into the distance, waiting anxiously. Why did she wait? Only when there was anticipation would there be anticipation. However, every time her anticipation fell through, the disappointment would intensify. When the villagers saw the little girl's heartache from waiting, they advised her not to go out again. However, the little girl stubbornly insisted that Big Brother would definitely return. Another month passed. Grandpa Seven had finished brewing all his wine. Aside from the heartburn that Xiao Qin asked him to brew, Grandpa Seven had also finished brewing the wine that he prepared for the wine festival. This is heartburn? Sang looked at the wine bottle and carefully examined it. A fragrance assailed his nose, but it was not much different from regular wine. Xiao Qin still had not returned. Even though Grandpa Seven had finished brewing the dragon race's best wine, he felt somewhat dispirited. As Grandpa Seven smoked his pipe, he said casually, "Yes, it is heartburn. It has not appeared for more than 5,000 years, perhaps even longer. I don't know if the world can still recognize it. If not for some techniques passed down by the ancestors, this old man would not be able to tell that this is heartburn. Sang, tell this old man what's going on with little brother. He has not returned for 2 months already. Now that the wine is ready, if he does not appear, what is the point?" Grandpa Seven brought up the same topic. He had already asked Sang several times, but Sang did not answer. Sang put down the wine flask and said softly, "I know him very well. Even if his legs break, he will continue walking the path that he chose with his hands. As long as he does not bleed to the last drop, he will not give up." Grandpa Seven sighed in shock. Little brother is so young. What exactly did he experience for him to have such a mental state? Oh, right, Sang, keep an eye on Qing Chen. That girl keeps sneaking out. No one can stop her. Sang was about to answer when his expression suddenly changed. Then he smiled faintly and said, "He returned." Grandpa Seven felt startled when he heard that. He quickly asked, "What do you mean returned? Little brother returned?" At the ancient well outside the village, Qing Chen looked at the spring water in the well and said innocently, "Moon, oh moon, tell me, when will Big Brother return?" "You stinky moon, bad moon. You never speak. It's all your fault. It's all because of you that Big Brother did not return, right?" Qing Chen said unhappily to the ancient well with a pout. "Didn't I say that the ancient well is dangerous and that you should not come back?" Just at this moment, a familiar voice came from behind Qing Chen. Startled, Qing Chen turned her head to look. Under the light of the setting sun, a familiar face appeared before Qing Chen. Big brother! Qing Chen felt incredibly joyful. She quickly ran over, crying tears of joy as she hugged him tightly. Xiao Chen felt somewhat confused. When he turned around, he saw the village entrance. He saw Grandpa Seven and Iron Egg leading the entire village, young and old, over. When they saw Xiao Chen, they all showed shock and joy on their faces. After disappearing for 2 months, Xiao Chen, who was rumored to have lost to the demon envoys while sweeping away the roving bandits, actually returned. Chapter 2041. However, in the blink of an eye, Xiao Chen was shocked to discover many fatal injuries. However, these injuries formed a weak balance in Xiao Chen's body and slowly recovered. Xiao Chen avoided the topic, not saying much. When he raised his wine cup and took a look, his eyes immediately lit up. Sang's expression changed slightly as he looked at Xiao Chen. Clearly, he had not expected Xiao Chen to be so severely injured. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen was too weak and could not go too deep. However, only Sang knew that Xiao Chen had not rested much in the past 3 months. Furthermore, Xiao Chen fought a great perfection sovereign personage and barely survived. He would definitely be injured. When Xiao Chen looked carefully, the blood moon disappeared again. It looked dreamlike, exceptionally wondrous. Xiao Chen had a feeling that the person who laid this ancient well might be a dragon king of the blue dragon bloodline. As long as Xiao Chen could unravel the mystery of this ancient well, the secret of the blue dragon bloodline's destruction would be revealed. However, the time was not right yet. Grandpa Seven nodded. The recipe passed down by my ancestors is already somewhat incomplete. It was originally called Blood Moon, but I can only change it to Waning Moon. Iron Egg told Xiao Chen about the rumors he heard in the neighboring villages, seeking confirmation. Big brother Xiao, is that all true? Someone saw you lying in the desert covered in blood. They all said that the demon envoys surrounded and injured you. Iron Egg's strength was somewhat inferior to Xiao Chen's. However, no matter what, the innocence in his heart was that he hoped for Xiao Chen to live well. At every moment, I am able to sense that there are 2 great powers fighting in the desolate sea. These 2 factions are so strong that they are terrifying. If I were at my peak, my main body would not be able to last a single strike before these 2 factions. Sang smiled faintly and took out a wine flask. Then he slowly opened the lid. His horizons would definitely be broadened. He would be able to properly appreciate the charm of the desolate sea. Sang walked over to the ancient well and said softly, "This girl has an extreme body. It is normal for her to see what you and I see. There are blood moons both day and night. There might really be a blood moon in this well." In Grandpa Seven's house, from the villagers' point of view, Xiao Chen's white robe was spotless and had an extraordinary bearing. Sang said softly, "When you were heavily injured, the bandits rose from the ashes and wandered outside the village. I dealt with some of them and found these on their bodies. You're lucky. The Heaven Fiend Sect's branch master personally made a move, but you still managed to escape with your life." There was indeed a moon in the well. However, Qing Chen could see it during the day. This was somewhat puzzling. Xiao Chen was startled when he heard this. Sang's main body was the propping mulberry tree. Even the propping mulberry tree could not withstand a single blow from these 2 forces. The ancient well and the Blue Dragon clan were definitely related. Xiao Chen chuckled and said, "I'm fine. You're all worrying too much. You can all leave now. I don't have anything to see. Thank you for your concern." Xiao Chen took it and opened it. It was a wanted poster, and the person in the picture was himself. Bruiser ran over excitedly and punched Xiao Chen. "Everyone thought you were dead." 3 days later. Although this wine was not as stimulating as heartburn, it was very refreshing. After drinking it, Xiao Chen felt somewhat disappointed and frustrated. He put down the wine cup and said, "It is indeed good wine. However, it seems to have some flaws and is not perfect enough." Grandpa Seven nodded and said, "You decide. The Peach Blossom Wine Festival is about to begin. Little brother, when are you preparing to depart? What you see might not be true. Have you ever wondered why there is a blood moon in the desolate sea and why the setting sun is so huge? A wine fragrance spread out, and Xiaochen immediately rejoiced. He exclaimed, "Heartburn! Big brother Xiao, you finally returned. What wine is this?" Grandpa Seven asked somewhat anxiously, "Is it really fine to participate in the wine festival with heartburn?" "We will participate in the wine festival with a waning moon. If we do not stand out, I will take out heartburn." "What do you mean?" "An acquired divine body was a divine body in the first place." "You succeeded?" During the past 3 months, Xiao Chen had experienced countless battles. His cultivation had stabilized at peak holy venerate. Xiao Chen said calmly, "Grandpa Seven, there is no need to worry. If the Peach Blossom City Lord is truly strong enough, with just one word from him, no one in the city will dare to touch me. Furthermore, it will not be easy for anyone to snatch the recipe from me." Waning moon. The wine in the cup was as red as blood and gave off a chill. When the cup was gently shaken, cold air blew out. In their opinion, they could not help Xiaochen. Night fell, and the blood moon hung high in the sky. Seeing that Xiaochen was indeed fine, the villagers revealed sincere smiles as they left, chatting and laughing. Xiaochen praised, "Grandpa Seven is really humble. I know a little about brewing wine as well. To brew something as excellent as heartburn, I would have to spend a lot of effort. Even if a regular winemaker has the recipe, they would find it hard to successfully brew it. Their success rate is extremely low." Xiao Chen had several chances to break through to sovereign personage. Unfortunately, he had always failed by one move. There were simply too many unsolved mysteries in the cold Yin spring. When Xiao Chen advanced to sovereign personage, he had to go down and take a look. However, the Heavenly Slaughter sect placed a bounty on your head for 500,000 primeval heavenly pills. Xiao Chen stood alone beside the ancient well. The water in the well reflected the bright scarlet moon. Sang stretched out his hand, and a painting flew over. How terrifying were these two factions in the past. An indistinct blood moon appeared in the cup amid the hazy white fog. "No wonder you managed to return alive. Your physical body is truly astonishing. It rivals a divine body," Sang said in shock as he withdrew his hand. Xiaochen felt slightly stunned. He had not expected Sang to know so much. He said softly, "I was lucky. Unfortunately, I failed to break through to sovereign personage midway." Footsteps came from behind. Xiaochen turned his head back and saw Sang walking over. Sang said helplessly, "Never mind. I can't be bothered to talk about it. When you reach Peach Blossom City, you will know how much trouble you have caused. How terrifying are the 6 demonic Dao sects. Let me take a look at your injuries." In the end, Xiaochen still lacked an opportunity to advance to sovereign personage. It was not that he did not have sufficient accumulations but that his horizons were lacking. Xiaochen felt that Peach Blossom City might be an opportunity. Xiaochen drained the cup in one go. He immediately felt a refreshing coolness in his mouth. The chill assaulted him, making him shiver involuntarily. Grandpa Seven sighed softly, "Unfortunately, my skills are limited. Little brother gave me so many ingredients, but I can only brew such a small pot." Xiao Chen changed the topic. Then he looked at the ancient well and asked, "Little Qing Chen said that she can see the blood moon in this well during the day. What do you think?" "It doesn't matter. There is still this." "Why?" The recovery ability of Xiao Chen's physical body was somewhat heaven-defying, comparable to a divine body. "Your injuries?" Sang looked at Xiao Chen with a complicated expression. "Previously, I went out to make some inquiries. Nearly all the cultivators near Peach Blossom City know that the 80-odd strongholds of the Heavenly Slaughter sect's branches were destroyed. This news has spread throughout the entire desolate sea, causing a huge commotion. No one knows what happened. Many people are guessing your identity. The Heavenly Slaughter sect, one of the 6 great sects of the demonic Tao, has not suffered such a loss for many years. Some people even suspect that the righteous Tao and demonic Tao factions are about to clash again. The desolate sea has been peaceful for too long. No wonder Sang was not satisfied. So, that was the case. Xiao Chen said softly, "This is really unfortunate. Otherwise, I would have been able to shine at the Peach Blossom Wine Festival and attract the attention of Peach Blossom City's city lord. At that time, all the wine lovers of the desolate sea would gather in Peach Blossom City." Chapter 2042. 3 days later, Xiao Chen brought Iron Egg with him, preparing to head to Peach Blossom City. Sang remained in the village just in case. Grandpa Seven got Xiao Chen to bring Iron Egg along to let him see the world. As for Grandpa Seven, he rejected Xiao Chen's invitation, not going with him. Xiao Chen brought the 10-odd bottles of Waning Moon and half a bottle of heartburn that Grandpa Seven brewed, as well as the anticipation of the entire village. Iron Egg, have you been to Peach Blossom City before? I have never been there before. However, I heard Grandpa Seven mention it. Peach blossoms are everywhere there. The mountains are beautiful, and the water is beautiful. It is like an immortal realm. Iron Egg felt very excited about going far away to see the world. Xiao Chen also felt some anticipation in his heart. He had been in the desolate sea for a long time already, but he had only stayed in the city for a short time. As for a large city like Peach Blossom City, he had never been there before. Xiao Chen had spent most of his time in the village, away from the cultivators. To him, this was something he had never experienced before. It had been a very long time since he had such close contact with ordinary mortals and lived together. After galloping for 7 days, the two smelled a heavy wine fragrance under the blazing sun. Since they could smell the wine fragrance, Peach Blossom City was naturally not far away. Xiao Chen opened his heavenly eye and looked into the distance. An oasis appeared at the limits of his vision. It was rare to see such a vast oasis in the harsh environment of the desolate sea. Many cities were built directly on wastelands. A large peach forest could be seen in the oasis. Pink peach blossoms covered the ground. A clear river flowed through the peach forest. Lush green mountain ranges lined the sides. The scenery in the vast peach forest was like a painting, fresh and elegant. However, when one thought about the vast peach forest, one would find it boundless, deep, and shocking. This place was the famous Peach Blossom Wall of the desolate sea. Peach Blossom City was behind this vast peach forest. Xiao Chen withdrew their gazes and galloped. They finally arrived at the peach forest before sunset. In the peach forest, many cultivators gathered under the peach trees. They played zither and played music, drinking wine with the peach blossoms. They chatted loudly, attracting everyone's attention. In the past, Xiao Chen had only observed it from afar. However, Xiao Chen had never been to Peach Blossom City before. He was stuck in the peach blossom forest. The horse's hooves trampled on the fallen flowers on the ground, unable to find his way into the city. He only found out after asking around. It turned out that there was only one way to enter the city, and it could only be brought in by a boatman. If one wanted the boatman to sail, no matter how many primeval heavenly pills one offered, one needed to offer a cup of fine wine. If the boatman thinks that the wine is good, he will guide you into the city. Otherwise, no matter how many resources one had, it would be useless. They would only be able to smell the fragrance of the wine in this peach forest. They would not be qualified to participate in the banquet. So there was such a rule. It could be considered a threshold. The two of them led their horses back and forth along the riverside. When they saw a boat docked by the riverside with no one queuing up, they hurriedly ran over. The boatman wore a straw raincoat and sat at the bow of the boat, fishing with a hook in his hand. When Xiao Chen saw this, he felt startled. This seemingly ordinary boatman's cultivation was somewhat unfathomable. It felt like he was at least a great perfection sovereign personage. However, Iron Egg did not feel anything. He stepped forward and asked, "Sir, are you driving the boat?" Xiao Chen immediately found this somewhat strange. This was the first time he heard someone address a sovereign personage as sir. The straw-caped old man was clearly stunned for a while as well. After glancing at Iron Egg, he fixed his gaze on Xiao Chen. Fortunately, he did not get angry. The old man withdrew his fishing rod and removed his conical bamboo hat, revealing a spirited, aged face. "Ha! It is not easy to get this sir to drive the boat. There were a few waves earlier, but I sent them all away. If the two of you are smart, you should go and find another boatman." The straw-caped old man stroked his beard as he laughed strangely. Xiaochen thought back. Indeed, many cultivators who wanted to enter the city avoided this boat. They did not even look at it, showing some disgust in their eyes. "Ha! Sir, you really know how to joke. You look rather friendly. How could you not let us pass? Big brother Xiao, let this sir have a cup of our wine." However, Iron Egg guffawed and boarded the boat without any hesitation. Xiaochen thought to himself, "Oh no. This is not in accordance with the rules." Just as he was about to stop Iron Egg, the straw-caped old man waved his hand, indicating that there was no problem. Then he let Xiaochen fetch the wine. Since Iron Egg made his choice, Xiaochen did not want to interfere. He took out a flask of Waning Moon and handed it over. Quick look! Someone boarded Drunkard Chui's boat. The two's actions attracted the attention of the many cultivators in the peach blossom forest. Someone is going to be unlucky again. To think that someone dares to board Drunkard Chui's boat. If Drunkard Chui is not satisfied with the wine, he will chase them away. Ha! I'm dying of laughter. What kind of lousy wine flask is this? Are these two people from the countryside? To think that they cannot even afford a decent wine flask. Really, anyone can come to Peach Blossom City now. They are not even particular about the wine flask. Even good wine is wasted. When the cultivators at the riverbank saw that the wine flask Xiaochen took out was extremely ordinary, like a clay figurine from the countryside. When they saw that Iron Egg did not have any cultivation, they immediately showed expressions of disdain. Iron Egg immediately felt upset. He shouted from the boat, "Bunch of lunatics! What are you talking about? What does this Lord's choice of boat have to do with you? So what if it's from the countryside? Countryside people can still participate in the wine festival." Damn! To think that this little bastard dares to talk back. Just you wait. When Drunkard Chui tosses you off, this old man will beat you up until your own mother won't recognize you. Seeing Iron Egg acting so arrogant despite looking like a clay figurine, the group of people in the distance immediately felt upset. Unfortunately, due to the straw-caped old man, they did not dare to come over. They could only shout from the riverbank. Bunch of trash. You are just bullying me for not having any cultivation. If this old man cultivated from a young age, I guarantee that I would beat you up until your own ancestors wouldn't recognize you. You only know how to shout. If you have the guts, come and beat me up now. This group of people suffered a great loss when they bickered with Iron Egg. After a while, they flew into a rage out of humiliation and gritted their teeth. However, they did not dare to board the boat and could only wait, shouting that they would beat him up after he disembarked. However, the straw-caped old man did not care so much. After he poured himself a cup of wine, a strange look flashed in his eyes. Mist rose from the wine cup, and an indistinct blood moon appeared amid the cold qi. The straw-caped old man's eyes immediately lit up. He gently inhaled, and the mist formed by the wine turned into a crescent moon, which he sucked in. This startled Xiaochen. This old man was truly incredible. Even Xiaochen did not know how to drink like this. After that, Xiaochen closed his eyes and drained the wine in his cup in one go. When he opened his eyes again, he heaved a long sigh and said, "Waning moon. Waning moon. I have not drunk this wine for several decades already. It is still as cold as before, but there is a trace of joy in it. It is not so chilling and heartbreaking. Old Seven's skill is becoming increasingly exquisite. Set sail." Xiaochen shouted, filled with lofty sentiments. Then he casually waved his hand, and the boat shot forward like an arrow, kicking up surging waves. The boat set sail just like that. The cultivators at the riverbank were all stunned. The notoriously bad-tempered old Drunkard Chui actually set sail. Even though old Drunkard Chui's entire body was drenched, he did not feel it. This old drunkard's boat had been parked at the riverbank for several decades, never moving. No matter what kind of wine they offered, anyone who boarded would be scolded and beaten down. As time passed, drunkard Chui's reputation became increasingly notorious. No one sought him out to set sail. However, today, 2 bumpkins from the countryside actually got drunkard Chui to set sail. This was truly inconceivable, completely unimaginable. The cultivators waiting to beat up Iron Egg were all drenched. They could only watch helplessly as Iron Egg slipped away, feeling so frustrated that they stomped their feet. When Iron Egg, who was on the boat, saw the situation, he felt very delighted. He laughed loudly and said, "Bunch of trash, and you still want to beat me up? Just watch obediently. This old man is leaving." Ha! More people gathered at the riverbank. As they watched drunkard Chui's boat go further away, they all showed astonished expressions. Someone in the peach forest played the zither and sighed. The peach blossoms on both sides turn red every year, but the ancients do not come with the wind. After 30 years of searching for an old dream, all I get is a cup of wine in a golden goblet. Even old drunkard Chui sets sail. This wine festival is finally going to be interesting. After not setting sail for 30 years, old drunkard Chui was not waiting for a cup of wine but a person. However, that person did not arrive in the end, only a cup of wine for the ancients. Chapter 2043. The peach blossoms on both banks turn red year after year, but no old friends come with the wind. After 30 years of searching for an old dream, all I get is a cup of wine in a golden goblet. The zither music stopped. The youth playing the zither put it away and carried it on his back. As he looked at the reflection of the peach blossoms on both banks, he said softly, "It is time to enter the city. Most of the people who should be here are already here." As the boat traveled along the river, it gradually slowed down. The noise behind also faded. Xiaochen looked curiously at the straw-caped old man and asked softly, "Senior, do you know Grandpa Seven?" The straw-caped old man smiled and sighed. "I have been waiting for him at the Peach Blossom Cove for 30 years. It looks like he still cannot forget the past. He really will not come again." Iron Egg exclaimed in shock, "Sir, what exactly did my 7th uncle experience back then? Why has he not come to Peach Blossom City?" Xiaochen felt this was strange. Could there be another reason for Grandpa Seven not coming to Peach Blossom City aside from the drying of the cold spring? The straw-caped old man looked at the two, and a reminiscing expression appeared in his eyes. "I got to know your Grandpa 750 years ago. Back then, when he first came to Peach Blossom City, he came to my city. What a fellow. He gave me a cup of wildfire and nearly made a fool of himself in front of everyone. The two of you might not know this, but when old Seven Du came to Peach Blossom City, he became famous everywhere. Many large sects wanted to invite him over to nurture him. However, he refused. His arrogance offended many people. However, every time he came, there was an endless stream of people asking him for wine. However, Iron Egg felt somewhat stunned. He had not expected the seemingly ordinary Grandpa Seven of the village to have such a great background. Xiaochen was not surprised. When he first saw Grandpa Seven, he knew that the other party had seen the world. His speech and mannerisms were not like that of an ordinary person. From the very start, Xiaochen had maintained some respect for Grandpa Seven. Iron Egg asked anxiously, "However, what?" The straw-caped old man sighed. At the wine festival 30 years ago, he finally brewed Waning Moon and qualified to participate in the Wine King contest. He obtained a promise from the Peach Blossom City Lord. This was the dream that he had been working hard to achieve. However, he lost to someone in the Wine King contest. It was a miserable defeat, a humiliating defeat. After that, I never saw him again. The world is really interesting. I waited for 30 years, but he didn't come. Instead, his descendant came. You can't just say it's a coincidence that you met me. Indeed, the two had never heard of drunkard Chui before they came. They did not know that Grandpa Seven had once enjoyed such glory in Peach Blossom City. He even became close friends with this old man. Just to wait for one person, he didn't set sail for 30 years and even had to bear so many curses. This kind of friendship wasn't something that anyone could easily form. Grandpa Seven had given them special instructions, but the two somehow boarded the straw-caped old man's ship. It could only be said that it was the will of the heavens. Let this cup of wine put an end to the friendship between the two old men. Who defeated Lord Seven? Xiao Chen asked. The straw-caped elder said, Lu Yuanfei is currently the royal winemaker of the Hound Lion Empire in the eastern region. People call him Master Yun. It's seventh brother's fault for being stubborn. He refused to join a sect or accept the empire's resources. Otherwise, how could this have happened? There were some things that the straw-caped elder did not say clearly. However, Xiao Chen could roughly guess. This Master Yuanfei definitely did not just defeat Grandpa Seven back then. He must have done something bad, resulting in Grandpa Seven not coming to Peach Blossom City. It was very possible that Grandpa Seven suffered some grievances. Senior Chui, to think that you are setting sail. Just at this moment, a tall, magnificent fortress ship with dragons and phoenixes carved on it passed by. Banners fluttered in the wind. A youth stood at the bow of the ship with his hands behind his back. When he saw the straw-caped old man setting sail, he was greatly startled, appearing extremely shocked. The fortress ship was bustling with activity. The laughter of several girls could be heard, making it a very lively ship. The straw-caped old man glanced at them and ignored them, focusing on steering the ship. Senior Chui, will you board the ship for a chat? I have already prepared good wine. I will not disappoint Senior. That youth wore embroidered robes and had an extraordinary air. His cultivation had already broken through the shackles of sovereign personage. However, that youth's attitude toward the straw-caped old man was extremely polite. Not interested. The straw-caped old man waved his hand, decisively rejecting. In that case, sorry for the disturbance. The youth frowned slightly. Then, his gaze fell on Xiao Chen, and a hazy look flashed in his eyes. What wine did this fellow use to move Senior Chui? He won't spoil my plans, right? The fortress ship moved very fast. Soon, it vanished from the group's sight. Iron Egg was flabbergasted. Who is that? How can he be so arrogant? To think that he drove his own fortress ship here. The clear river was filled with all sorts of small boats belonging to Peach Blossom City. Suddenly seeing such a large, magnificent fortress ship appear, it would be hard not to notice it. The straw-caped old man said indifferently, that fellow is Yi Han, the top true inheritor of the Ice Snow Mountain Manor, a rank 7 sect in the eastern region. He is just relying on the face of his sect. This is a rare centennial wine festival. There will always be some strange people coming to join in the fun. After seeing more of them, it will not be strange anymore. Following this, Xiao Chen finally understood what, after seeing more of them, it would not be strange anymore. Not only did the rank 7 sects and empires of the eastern and northern regions send people over, but even the demonic Dao factions in the distant Shuwu dynasty came to join in the excitement. It had to be said that the Peach Blossom Wine Festival was indeed famous. What surprised Xiao Chen and Iron Egg was that when the fortress ships of nearly every major faction noticed the straw-caped old man, they were all astonished. They would all be surprised and invite them to board the ship. Naturally, they would all be politely rejected. This puzzled Xiao Chen. What exactly was the background of this old man before him? 1 hour later, the river flowed through a city gate. Then, the scene before them suddenly widened. An ancient city appeared before Xiao Chen and Iron Egg miraculously. Xiao Chen and Iron Egg had not sensed it before. To think that there was such a majestic city behind the peach forest. Xiao Chen did not know what formation it used to hide this city so ingeniously. When the river flowed through the city before them seemed to suddenly appear. The wine festival will start in a few days. You can stroll around or sell the wine you have here. The city should be quite lively these few days. But the straw-caped old man thought of something. Then he said, "Give me another flask of Waning Moon. I'll sign you up for the Wine King contest. You have to fight for it." Xiao Chen already knew that these boatmen were wine appraisers sent by the city lord's residence. Using wine to pilot a boat meant appraising the best wine and participating in the Wine King contest. Of course, those rank 7 sects did not need to go through so much trouble. They were all qualified to participate in the Wine King contest. After Xiaochen offered up a flask of waning moon, he formally took his leave of the old man. The two went ashore, officially entering Peach Blossom City. The bustle and bustle of the city dazzled the eyes, overwhelming them. Taverns filled the place, and the fragrance of the wine filled the air. If one opened their mouth to breathe, they might get drunk. After Iron Egg entered the city, he became excited. He looked around and sighed in amazement. These were all scenes that he had never seen before. Xiaochen was in a good mood as well. The two strolled around the city, occasionally stopping to sigh at the novelty of the things they saw. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter is out again. Everyone quickly, go and take a look. She is out again? Could it be that no one has appraised the wine that the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter brought? Quickly go, quickly go. If we are late, she might not appear again. Suddenly, the crowd on the street Xiaochen was on rushed to the east street in a frenzy. Iron Egg exclaimed excitedly, Big Brother Xiao, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter is here as well. The Holy Land, the Heavenly Fragrance. Xiaochen entered deep thought. He recalled that when he first came to the desolate sea, he came into contact with a group of Heavenly Fragrance disciples. At that time, the woman holding the flute had given him a bottle of medicinal pills when she saw that he was poisoned by the 1,000 taste red. Let's go and take a look. Xiaochen showed a calm expression as he led Iron Egg over to the crowd. The crowd gathered at a courtyard on the east street, densely surrounding the place. Xiaochen had to use some skill to squeeze his way in. Xiaochen saw a few Heavenly Fragrance disciples with the air and beauty of fairies standing behind a white jade table in front of the courtyard. Our clan's young miss obtained a flask of wine half a year ago and liked it a lot. Unfortunately, we did not know its name. Even when we looked for the wine master, no one knew what kind of wine it was. Coincidentally, the Peach Blossom Wine Festival gathers all the wine lovers of the desolate sea. If anyone can identify the origins of this wine, our clan's young miss will reward you handsomely. A Heavenly Fragrance disciple smiled as she looked around and pointed at the wine in the cup on the table. If one could identify the origins of this wine, they could meet the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and even receive a gift from her. Without a doubt, this was very tempting. Big Brother Xiao, do you want to give it a try? Big Brother Xiao, why aren't you saying anything? The excited Iron Egg asked in confusion when he noticed that Xiaochen's expression was somewhat strange. Xiaochen stared at the wine in the cup in a daze. Why does this wine resemble the 1,000-year flame? Did Emochen leave the Kunlun realm? Chapter 2044. 1,000-Year Flame. The 1,000-Year Flame was a wine that Emochen brewed based on an incomplete winemaking recipe from the immortal epic. Logically speaking, it should not have appeared in the Great Thousand Realms. If it appeared, there could only be one reason. Emochen had already left the Great Thousand Realms. Xiaochen counted carefully and realized that it had been close to 8 years since he left the Kunlun realm. He remembered that the old dragon horse said that Emochen had a chance of entering the Blue Dragon Palace. Given Emochen's intelligence, after entering the Blue Dragon Palace, she should have grown strong enough to leave the Kunlun realm in 8 years. There was another important point. The Black Lotus sect venerate was already dead. The restrictions that he laid might no longer exist. No matter how Xiaochen looked at it, Emochen had a high chance of leaving. However, he needed to verify that the wine on the white jade table was indeed the 1,000-Year Flame. Big Brother Xiao, are you all right? Iron Egg asked from the side. Xiaochen's expression recovered its calm. He nodded and said, I'm fine. Continue watching. The somewhat charming Heavenly Fragrance disciple behind the table said softly, if anyone is confident, you can come up and check it out. However, I'll say this first. Those who come up will have to pay 100,000 primeval heavenly pills. If you succeed, the Heavenly Fragrance will return 200,000 primeval heavenly pills. If you fail, you will lose the 100,000 primeval heavenly pills. Such a threshold was mainly to prevent anyone from coming up to taste the wine. The wine was limited and could not be tested frequently. The moment the disciple said that, the crowd discussed it. However, No one stepped forward. It is difficult. Yesterday, 3 scions brought grandmaster winemakers over. In the end, they did not gain anything. No one knows what wine it is. Among them was the top true inheritor of the heavenly lodging sect. Last year, he entered the Wine King contest, but no one knows the result either. Damn. Is it that difficult? Whether it is difficult or not, just hand over the primeval heavenly pills and go up to check. What kind of joke is this? Even if they are scions, 100,000 primeval heavenly pills is not a small sum. How could they dare to go up? Many people came to watch the excitement. However, only a few actually stepped forward. These people were not fools. The heavenly fragrance Holy Land had seen all sorts of wine. They already had the best winemakers. Furthermore, with the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's connections, they could meet even more winemakers. However, they were still unable to appraise it. Furthermore, the people who had failed yesterday knew that this was not an easy task. Just as that charming heavenly fragrance disciple appeared disappointed, a white-clad person walked out of the crowd and said with a smile, "This young master, please pay the primeval heavenly pills first." How could Xiao Chen have any more primeval heavenly pills? He had used them all long ago, so he was now penniless. Without saying a word, he reached out to grab the wine glass. "Young master is rude." The charming woman smiled and stretched out her hand. Her fingers were as white as jade, soft and beautiful. Her hand moved like she was pinching a flower, grabbing at Xiao Chen's wrist. Xiao Chen gently flipped his palm to avoid the attack and continued to grab the wine cup. The charming woman immediately became somewhat angry. Her lily-white hands continued to move. Instantly, brilliant lights appeared, and hundreds of flowers bloomed. Her lily-white hands were like saucers that danced around, dazzling and unfathomable to the eyes of others. Heavenly fragrant 100-flower finger. The cultivators watching from behind were greatly startled when they recognized this consummate technique. At the same time, they felt shocked. To think that someone was so rude in front of the heavenly fragrance. Was he not afraid of incurring the wrath of the crowd? As Xiao Chen looked at the hundreds of flowers blooming in front of him and the indistinct immortal butterfly hidden among them, he could not help but feel shocked. Xiao Chen thought to himself, "Interesting. If I continue to grab the wine cup, the other party will definitely restrain me." Xiao Chen retreated in order to advance. After he withdrew his hand, he silently circulated the divine dragon body tempering art. Strands of azure light representing vital qi slowly flowed in Xiao Chen's body and gathered at his 5 fingers. Xiao Chen withdrew his hand as slowly as an ant. However, the instant he withdrew it, he attacked again at lightning speed. Anxiety immediately flashed on the charming woman's face. She could not help but move faster. Multicolored butterflies danced around, creating many phantoms. It was hard to tell which was real and which was fake. The hundreds of flowers bloomed even more beautifully. Xiao Chen and the charming woman's palms moved around each other, dazzling everyone and making them sigh in amazement. The crowd that was startled and angered by Xiao Chen earlier could not help cheering when they saw such a game. Where did this person come from? To think that he can last for so long before the 100 flowers twining fingers. I've never heard of him before. He seems to have the dragon race bloodline. Interesting. This is much more interesting than watching wine tasting. The onlookers' interest was piqued, and they began to watch attentively. Many people even gained some comprehension, using their left and right hands to mimic the moves. 100 flowers twining fingers, soft fingers twining among the 100 flowers. Toward the end, Xiao Chen found the other party's fingers increasingly difficult to deal with, making things difficult for him. However, it was not that simple for him to admit defeat. Time to gamble. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave. Suddenly, he gave up on playing with the wine cup and grabbed it with a flip of his hand. The 100 flowers twining fingers grabbed the other party's wrist, preventing her from struggling free. However, Xiao Chen's other hand grabbed the wine cup firmly at an even faster speed. The mysterious phenomenon of the 100 flowers suddenly stopped. This startled the charming woman, and she revealed a trace of embarrassment on her pretty face. "You are cheating." When the charming woman saw the wine cup land on Xiao Chen's body, she immediately felt flustered and frustrated. When the others saw this scene, they also felt sorry for the charming woman. This white-clad person really did not play by the rules. To think that he even dared to tease a heavenly fragrance disciple. Senior Sister Chu. When the other heavenly fragrance disciples saw Xiao Chen grab the charming woman's wrist, they immediately panicked and charged at Xiao Chen. In that instant, 10,000 flowers bloomed, looking very beautiful. A strong wind blew as they charged at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen remained calm. Boundless azure vital qi circulated in his body. The vital qi surged from all over his body, forming the might of a blue dragon. With a dragon roar, Xiao Chen let go of the charming woman's wrist. Xiao Chen gently waved his hand, looking like a dragon swinging its tail. This seemingly casual waving carried 200 cauldron force in his body. Bang, bang, bang. Shattered flower petals filled the air, knocking back the heavenly fragrance disciples charging at Xiao Chen. Just as the charming woman was about to get serious, she suddenly looked up and discovered that Xiao Chen had already focused all his attention on the wine in the cup. He held the wine glass with 3 fingers, and with a slow and gentle movement, he began to shake it gently in accordance with some sort of rhythm. While Xiao Chen felt uncertain, the wine in the cup gave off a golden light. Then, a golden crow soared into the sky and circled the surroundings. It had both form and spirit, like a divine bird had appeared. Golden crow! Golden crow! Quick, run! The golden crow holy beast is coming out. The Golden Crow Empire of the Eastern region was famous. Everyone knew that the divine bird of the empire had appeared. Right now, the empire's luck was flourishing and unstoppable. The strength of the golden crow was boundlessly ferocious. It was a divine bird that only existed in myths and legends. The sudden appearance of the golden crow startled the many cultivators present, causing them to scatter and flee. After a while, the circling golden crow slowly scattered. Only then did everyone startle awake from a dream. It turned out that everything earlier was just an illusion. They immediately felt embarrassed. To think that the mysterious phenomenon in the wine scared them into such a sorry state. Damn it, this fellow actually tricked us. Many people glared at Xiao Chen, feeling very angry. Xiao Chen did not care. As he looked at the wine in the cup, he finally confirmed that it was indeed the 1,000-year flame that Mo Chen brewed. The charming woman looked at Xiao Chen incredulously. Just as she was feeling shocked, a voice projection rang out by her ear. She looked at Xiao Chen and said, "Young master, please come with me. The holy daughter requests your presence." Xiao Chen nodded slightly. He wanted to ask where the other party got this 1,000-year flame. Xiao Chen drained the wine in the cup in one gulp. Then he called out to Iron Egg and walked to the residence with large strides. Damn, he actually managed to figure it out. Who is that rustic country bumpkin? Heavens! Where did these 2 weirdos come from? This is illogical. But I can't enter the residence. I want to see the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter as well. Seeing that even Iron Egg was invited in, the many cultivators behind wanted to cry, but no tears came out. They felt extremely disappointed, finding this unfair. Chapter 2045. After passing through the corridors, courtyards, and pavilions, Xiao Chen's field of vision gradually widened. A patch of green grass appeared before Xiao Chen. Many people were already seated on the grass, looking carefree and at ease. Xiao Chen took a quick look and found many familiar people among them. These were the Rank 7 sect outstanding talents and noble clan scions who had taken the fortress ship to come over. The Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yi Han was among them. However, the one who attracted Xiao Chen's attention the most was a youth playing the zither. This youth wore embroidered robes, and his long hair casually draped over his shoulders. He held a flask of wine by his hand, looking very extraordinary. For this youth to be so eye-catching among the true inheritors of a Rank 7 sect, he was definitely extraordinary. However, Xiao Chen only took a glance at him. his attention landed on a woman holding a flute behind the grassy field. The two's eyes met, and Xiao Chen felt slightly startled. It turned out that she was the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter. Back when he first entered the desolate sea, this person even gave him a medicinal pill. No wonder there was always a fog around her. Even though she was right before Xiao Chen and their eyes met, he could not make out her appearance. While Xiao Chen was startled, the other party was even more startled. The poison of the 1,000 taste red has already penetrated deep into the soul. You can still remove it. This is truly shocking, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said slowly, feeling incredibly shocked. The moment the holy daughter said that, she immediately attracted the attention of the outstanding talents on the grassy field. The poison of the 1,000 taste red had long since spread throughout the desolate sea. Everyone feared it, even more so than the soul devouring of the demonic Tao cultivators. I was lucky. Xiao Chen was not used to such a scene. After giving a simple explanation, he asked, "Might I ask the holy daughter, where did this 1,000-year flame come from?" The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said in understanding, "So, this wine is called the 1,000-year flame. I obtained it by chance. I wonder who brewed it. I spent a lot of effort searching but could not find it. It probably came from the outer realm. Young Master seems to know a lot about it." The outer realm referred to the worlds outside the central Great Realm, such as the Grave Sea Cluster. As the two spoke, several people noticed Xiao Chen, finding him somewhat familiar, and started whispering to each other. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. Given this, Emo Chen should have left the Kunlun realm already. However, they hadn't reached the central world yet. It wasn't easy for outsiders to reach the central world. In order to set foot on the central world, Xiao Chen had wandered for 5 years and suffered a great deal. If young master knows, please tell me. I really want to introduce this wine to the Heavenly Fragrance banquet. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter appeared very sincere. She was also very interested in this 1,000-year flame. For the sake of investigating Xiao Chen's origins, he even made a special trip to Peach Blossom City. This showed his determination. However, it had nothing to do with Xiao Chen anymore. He was a little disappointed and casually said, "I don't really know her well. Goodbye." Originally, Xiao Chen was thinking of finding out where Emo Chen was. Now, it looked like that was impossible. Since that was the case, there was no need to stay here any longer. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter felt surprised when Xiao Chen wanted to leave. She smiled and said, "Young master still has not told me your name." "Xiao Chen." "So, it is young master Xiao. Have a seat. It is rare for us to meet. No matter what, you helped me figure out the origins of this wine. I have to thank you," the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter urged Xiao Chen to stay. "Young master Xiao, please have a seat. I am very curious about the person who can make Senior Chui drive his boat." The well-dressed young master playing the zither had just taken a sip of wine when he put down the wine flask and spoke to Xiao Chen. Before this, Senior Chui's boat had passed by. However, he had not noticed Xiao Chen's presence. After the well-dressed young master's reminder, Xiao Chen immediately remembered. No wonder he found Xiao Chen familiar, but he could not place him. After the well-dressed young master's reminder, Xiao Chen immediately remembered. No wonder he found Xiao Chen familiar, but he could not place him. Xiao Chen nodded and casually found a place to sit with Iron Egg. Iron Egg felt somewhat uncomfortable. These people all had strange expressions as they looked at the two of them. These people were all proud and arrogant. Although they did not say it, they all showed disdain and contempt on their faces. Even the weakest among them was an initial perfection sovereign personage. The Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yi Han and the person playing the zither were even more unfathomable. After chatting for a while, Xiao Chen answered every question he asked. Now, the group understood. When the group realized that Xiao Chen was not a disciple of Ancestor Dragon City or a noble clan disciple, they immediately lost interest. However, the person playing the zither did not mind. He discussed many interesting topics with Xiao Chen. "Brother Wenren, why don't you play another song for us?" Right. It would be best if you play a duet with the Holy Daughter's flute." Someone booed, and the others immediately chimed in. Xiao felt curious as well. He wanted to hear this person's zither. Of course, he missed the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's flute music even more. Back then, she had shocked everyone. This zither-playing youth with the family name Wenren looked at the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter and asked, "Holy daughter, are you willing?" "Never mind. Brother Wenren studied under the zither sage and has learned the true inheritance. This little sister's flute music might not be able to match. Brother Wenren, please play a solo." The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter did not agree, but she rejected. Naturally, the others did not think that the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's music was inferior to Wenren's. However, the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter had never played a duet with a man before, probably to avoid arousing suspicion. Wenren smiled faintly and did not say anything more. His 10 fingers moved nimbly, and a drawn-out zither music immediately flowed like an unending stream from the foot of a divine mountain, bringing with it a refreshing tinkling sound. The music intoxicated everyone, making them forget everything else and unable to pull themselves out. The spirited zither music, together with Wenren's grace, was pleasing to the eyes and delightful in this residence. When the song ended, everyone slowly woke up. When they opened their eyes, they still felt that it was not enough. Good song. He truly lives up to being the zither sage's brilliant disciple. Brother Wenren's zither skills are always refreshing. How unfortunate. If it were paired with the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's flute music, it would be the best in the desolate sea. Wenren quietly listened to these praises, not saying anything. He revealed a faint smile on his face. Iron Egg muttered, "It's nothing much. It doesn't hurt or itch. It's soft without any strength at all, like a girl's." Although Iron Egg's voice was soft, everyone here was a sovereign personage. How could it escape their ears? When Iron Egg heard that, his expression did not change. However, a strange look flashed in his eyes. Clearly, he still felt somewhat upset. "You are just a country bumpkin. What do you know? If you don't know, then don't say it. Don't embarrass yourself. Xiao, are you not going to discipline your companion? How rude. If you don't want to listen, then scram. Don't just stand there." Iron Egg's words incited everyone's anger. The voices of criticism slowly shifted to Xiao. Actually, these people had long since been dissatisfied with Xiao. Previously, they had all appraised the 1,000-year flame. In the end, no one recognized it. Suddenly, this person who came out of nowhere identified it and showed off in front of the holy daughter. Naturally, these people felt upset. Now that they found an opportunity, they immediately pointed the spearhead at Xiao. Xiao said indifferently, "Although I do not understand music, I know that there are differences in taste and taste. Everyone has their own taste. It is indeed not good to express one's opinion in public. However, there is no need to criticize others like this." Iron Egg also felt somewhat uncomfortable. He felt that the people in this place all had the same attitude. He had long been upset. He directly said, "Big brother Xiao, let's go. It is tiring talking to this group of people. Even when playing the zither, they still have to say nice things. You country bumpkin, you want to leave without apologizing to Brother Wenren? No way." However, the others did not give up. They wanted Iron Egg and Xiao to apologize as well. I also feel that this zither music is very soft and boring. Wenren Yu, do you want me to apologize to you as well?" Just at this moment, boorish laughter rang out from a tall building in the courtyard. At some point in time, a person had appeared. This person wore scarlet robes, and his fine black hair fluttered about. Demonic chi surged from his entire body, and he had a handsome face. A sharp light radiated from his face, making him look unruly. The blood flame scion, Pei Xiaoxian. Indeed, wherever the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter appears, this fellow will definitely come. The blood flame immortal was the top true inheritor of the blood flame sect, one of the 6 demonic Dao sections. He could be considered an outstanding talent among demonic Dao outstanding talents. This person was arrogant and unruly. However, he was terrifyingly strong. Although Xiao Chen had not been in the desolate sea for long, he had heard of this person before. Why is this old man not coming? I'm here for my wife. The profound heaven's holy son, Wenren, you shameless bastard. For the sake of chasing after my wife, you left home to learn the sound Tao. Halfway through, you were chased out of your sect. Then, you stuck to your wife like a mangy dog. Who in the desolate sea does not know what you, Wenren, are up to? Only you people would lick his stinky feet. This old man does not care. After the blood flame immortal Pei Shaoxian laughed loudly, he looked at the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter and said, "Wife, don't be afraid. I'll help you chase away these flies." The blood flame immortal Pei Shaoxian threw a palm strike, wanting to fight everyone here alone. Chapter 2046. Pei Shaoxian was simply like a madman. He attacked as he wished without any warning. With a palm strike, countless scarlet flames formed talismans that covered the sky and rained down like a storm. It's the flame demon talisman. Disperse! Xiao Chen looked at the sky full of blood talismans and fell into deep thought. These talismans were hard to defend against. After being struck, it would immediately burn the body, burn the blood, and even burn the soul. If an ordinary cultivator could release such a blood talisman, it would already be extremely frightening and difficult to deal with. However, the moment Pei Shaoxian attacked, blood talismans filled the sky. Just looking at this made one's scalp go numb. Wenren snorted coldly. Her hands quickly plucked the strings of the zither, creating waves of sound waves. They turned into rainbow-colored arrows that shattered the terrifying blood talismans. However, many blood talismans still fell to the ground. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter sighed softly and made a move. The sound of the flute rang out, like the sounds of nature, slowly fusing with the power of the surroundings. Space rippled like water, and the blood talismans gradually faded before vanishing completely. Comparing the two, the Tao of music. The difference between the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter and Wenren was immediately clear. Young Master Pei, this is the heavenly fragrance palace, and everyone here is a guest. Please don't be presumptuous. There was no joy or anger in the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's voice. Pei Shaoxian withdrew his hand and said with a smile, "Dear, I'm just helping you chase away the flies. I'm not being impudent. All of you guys are staring at my wife. Do you want to die?" The moment Pei Shaoxian spoke, the smile on his face vanished. Then, he glared at Wenren and the others with a fiendish expression. Wenren said indifferently, "Pei Shaoxian, if you are going crazy, go far away. Don't be impudent in the holy daughter's residence. Others might be afraid of you, but I won't." Pei Shaoxian smiled and said, For the sake of pursuing my wife, you embarrassed the profound heaven-holy land. Today, I'll make you lose all your face. Let's see how you can continue acting in the future." Boom! Pei Shaoxian roared, and a boundless scarlet flame ignited in half the sky. The flames were like painful waves, surging and surging, bringing about an impending pressure. The demonic chi on his body soared into the sky, causing the crimson flames to surge violently, causing people's hearts to tremble. The expressions of everyone below changed. This Pei Shaoxian was truly a madman. Shio! Suddenly, a person dashed out of the scarlet flames. With a wave of his hand, he caught all the scarlet flames in his hand. With a flip of his hand, a vast universe appeared before everyone's eyes, and the terrifying phenomenon instantly vanished. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. The person who made a move was actually the drunkard who had driven the boat for him previously. Blood Flame Sun. The city lord had ordered that the saintess was his honored guest. "If you continue to cause trouble like this, I can only tie you up and throw you into the Peach Blossom Cove to feed the fish." A trace of fear flashed in Pei Shaoxuan's eyes. However, he felt extremely displeased in his heart. This old fellow was really ruthless. His expression kept changing, and he actually did not let go immediately. After a while, Pei Shaoxian revealed a smile and said, "Senior Cui must be joking. I'm just passing by. I did not intend to cause trouble." You know my temper. If there is a next time, I will not waste words with you. Senior Chui snorted coldly. Then, his gaze landed on the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter. Holy daughter, are you startled? If you are, I will chase this fellow away. It's fine. He can stay here as long as he does not attack others. Old Shui did not say anything more. He looked at the scarlet flames in his hand and said indifferently, I'll hold on to this scarlet flame for you first. I will return it to you after you leave the city. Pei Shaoxin waved his hand and said, He, take it. If Senior Chui can help me refine it again, I will be eternally grateful. Senior Chui ignored Pei Shaoxin. His figure flashed, disappearing before everyone's eyes. He came quickly and left quickly as well. Iron Egg whispered, So, sir is actually so strong. Up on the roof, Pei Shaoxin did not care. He laughed loudly and landed beside Iron Egg. Then he patted Iron Egg's shoulder and said with a smile, Little brother, you have pretty good taste. I'll sit beside you. Come. Everyone, continue. Pretend that I am not here. What were you all talking about earlier? Pei Shaoxin sat down without any fear. However, this made the others feel somewhat awkward, not used to it. No one answered. However, Iron Egg remembered. He said, earlier, they wanted Big Brother Shaochen to apologize. They said that I insulted the Holy Sun and that Big Brother Shaochen did not discipline me properly. Pei Shaoxin smiled and said, You people only know how to look down on others. Seeing that this Brother Shao does not belong to any sect, you think that he is easy to bully. If you knew that this Brother Shao of mine is the ruthless person who recently uprooted 80-odd Heavenly Slaughter sect branches, I wonder if you would still dare to make him apologize. What? The moment Pei Shaoxin said that, everyone's expressions changed drastically. Countless gazes landed on Shaochen. So, it is you. Recently, the righteous Dao and demonic Dao sects had hundreds of conflicts in the desolate sea. To think that it is all because of a mixed-blood dragon who is not even a sovereign personage. How dare you? Recently, after the Heavenly Slaughter sect's branches were uprooted near Peach Blossom City, it triggered a chain reaction. No one knew who was the culprit, but the Heavenly Slaughter sect took revenge on the surrounding righteous Dao factions to vent their anger. The originally fragile balance between the righteous Dao and demonic Dao broke. The various major factions started fighting, and both sides suffered huge losses. This matter had long since spread like wildfire. However, who could have imagined that the cause was a brat who was not even a sovereign personage? Xiao Chen's expression did not change. However, he felt slightly startled in his heart. Now, he finally understood why Sang said that he would only know what kind of trouble he caused after he fell in Peach Blossom City. Pei Shaoxin paused for a moment and looked at Xiao Chen. Then, he smiled and continued, Do you know why this profound heaven's holy sun is here? Aside from coveting my wife's beauty, it is to mediate the conflict between the righteous Dao and demonic Dao. The Heavenly Slaughter sect's young sect master, Wang Yun, will be rushing over soon. Xiao Chen's heart sank. He had not expected such a thing to happen. Wenren Yu carefully put away the zither, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. He looked at Xiao Chen and asked, Young Master Xiao, did you really eradicate the 80-odd strongholds of the Heavenly Slaughter sect? With such a question, it looked like what Pei Shaoxian said was pretty close to the truth. Xiao Chen nodded and replied casually, That's right. I was the one who eradicated the Heavenly Slaughter sect's strongholds. Holy Sun Wenren, do you have any advice for me? Brat, do you know that you have caused us great trouble? How can the demonic Dao factions casually move around? Who do you think you are in this desolate sea? It is not your turn to play the hero. If the demonic Dao factions were that easy to deal with, they would have been eliminated long ago. Ridiculous. This time, 10-odd strongholds of the Fire Flame sect were eradicated. More than 100 people died. Our Water Cloud sect is in a miserable state. The branch that we established more than 100 years ago was nearly destroyed. Our Scarlet Firmament sect is in an even worse state. One of our branch elders died. Before Wenren Yu could say anything, The true inheritors of the rank 7 sects and ancient noble clans all showed somewhat hostile expressions as they looked at Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin smiled self-mockingly and said, "So, it's my fault. If not you, who should we blame? If not for you, why would there be such a huge commotion?" Some people refused to give up, continuing to pester Xiao Qin. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said softly, "It looks like everyone has forgotten their purpose here. I want to speak to Xiao Qin alone. Everyone, please go back." Clearly, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter's tone already showed some displeasure. The others also felt that making things difficult for the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter in her residence was somewhat overboard. They quickly apologized and took their leave. This gathering should have ended the moment Pei Shaoxian appeared. Now that Xiao Chen's identity was exposed, there was no reason for this gathering to continue. Before the Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yi Han left, he glanced at Xiao Chen and smiled faintly. Then he sent a voice projection, "If young Master Xiao has time, you can come to the Ice Snow Mountain Manor's residence for a gathering. I have some things to discuss with young Master Xiao." Without waiting for Xiao Chen to reply, Yi Han left with the others. Before Wenren Yu left, he looked at Xiao Chen and said, "If Brother Xiao wants to resolve some conflicts with the demonic Dao factions, you can take the initiative to contact me. I can still put in some words." However, Pei Shaoxian smiled coldly at the side and said, "Words are useless." Wenren Yu left with a smile, treating Pei Shaoxian as heir, not caring about his existence at all. "You're not leaving? If you don't, I'm afraid that you won't be able to leave even if you want to." The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter looked at Pei Shaoxian with a smile that did not seem like a smile. Pei Shaoxian smiled embarrassedly and said, "Wife, you really know how to joke. This husband will take his leave first. Next time, when there is no one around, we can chat happily." Before the holy daughter left, she looked at Xiao Chen and said, "I find you pleasing to the eye. If the Heavenly Slaughter Sect's Wang Yun comes looking for you, my name will definitely be more useful than Wenren Yu's." The Tianxiang Imperial Residence, which had been bustling with noise just a moment ago, suddenly became deserted. When Xiao Chen looked up, the sky had already darkened at some point in time. Xiao Chen looked at the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and asked, "Holy daughter, why did you make me stay behind alone?" Chapter 2047. Saintess, why did you ask me to stay behind alone? At this moment, on the grassland, aside from Xiao Qin, only the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter remained. Iron Egg had also been arranged to rest elsewhere in the palace. Xiao Qin could not figure out why the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter wanted him to stay behind. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter looked at Xiao Qin and said, "I would like to ask you if you met someone in the Desolate Sea." The number of people Xiao Qin saw in the Desolate Sea could not be considered many, but it could not be considered few either. This question was somewhat difficult to answer. Qin Zhuolin. Xiao Qin felt slightly stunned. He had indeed seen this person once when he first came to the Desolate Sea. However, it could be considered a coincidence that the two of them came into contact. Furthermore, it was extremely secretive, so it would be difficult for outsiders to know about it. Unless, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter smiled and said, "In that case, there is no mistake. Half a month ago, I sent someone to seek him out for help. However, he was rejected. He said that he didn't owe anyone a favor in the past few years, and that there was no need for him to make a move. This is also a coincidence. I did not expect the Xiao Qin he mentioned to be the same Xiao Qin who was poisoned by Thousand Taste Red that day. What's more, I did not expect to see you again in Peach Blossom City." Indeed, Xiao Qin guessed right. Unless Qin Zhuolin said it himself, Qin Zhuolin would not be able to hide it. Otherwise, no one would know about his meeting with Qin Zhuolin. However, who exactly was this Qin Zhuolin? He did not even give face to the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter. One had to know that the Heavenly Fragrance Holy Land's status was transcendent, and its reputation was excellent. Obtaining the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter's invitation and establishing a connection with the Heavenly Fragrance Holy Land would be extremely beneficial to him. Regardless of Qin Zhuolin's origins, Xiaochen looked at the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and asked, "So?" The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said, "I do indeed have something to ask of Qin Zhuolin. Furthermore, it is very urgent. If he does not appear, it will be very difficult for me to accomplish it. It just so happens that he owes you a favor. I want you to help me persuade him." In the end, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter just wanted to ask Xiaochen to help her persuade Qin Zhuolin. Xiaochen said thoughtfully, "I've only met him once. I'm not sure if I can persuade him." "It's fine. As long as you say that you are willing to help me, I will pass on the message." When the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter saw that Xiaochen was easy to talk to, she felt gratified. Xiaochen nodded. "Since the Saintess is really anxious, we can give it a try, but I can't guarantee that he will agree." Seeing Xiaochen agree so straightforwardly, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter revealed an expression of joy, a smile on her face. It seemed like it wanted to blow away the fog shrouding him. When Xiaochen looked over, he felt like he was bathed in a spring breeze, and his eyes lit up. Unfortunately, the fog did not disperse in the end, and he still could not see Xiaochen's appearance clearly. "Then I'll take my leave." Xiaochen cupped his hands and prepared to leave. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter felt slightly stunned. Then she smiled and said, "Young Master Xiao, are you not willing to speak more with me? It was the same before and it was the same now." He was always in a hurry to leave. "You helped me identify the 1,000-year flame, so I should properly thank you. Now that you have helped me so much, I should thank you even more." Xiaochen smiled and said, "It was just a small matter. There is indeed no need to thank me. This is the first time we met, and we do not know each other. Yet, the holy daughter left behind the antidote to the 1,000 taste red for me. What I am doing now is not worth mentioning." The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter saw that Xiaochen was carefree and at ease, showing that he did not intend to stand on ceremony. After thinking for a while, she said, "Young Master Xiao and your friend have just arrived in Peach Blossom City. I believe you have not found a place to stay yet. If you do not mind, you can stay in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence." This was the truth. Xiaochen thought about it for a while. There would definitely be endless trouble after he left. Staying in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence was indeed much more convenient. In that case, many thanks for the holy daughter's invitation. After Xiaochen turned and left, a few Heavenly Fragrance disciples appeared. They frowned and said, "Young miss, are we really going to let young Master Xiao stay? The Heavenly Fragrance's residence has never let a male stay in it before. Would it be bad if word got out?" The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter replied softly, "What's bad about it? Chu Xiang, you make the arrangements." The disciple named Chu Xiang was the flirtatious girl who used the 100 flowers twining hand to block Xiaochen but ended up getting captured by Xiaochen. The holy daughter's words surprised Chu Xiang. After she recovered her wits, she nodded in agreement. After making some preparations, Chu Xiang went to look for Xiaochen and Iron Egg, who were resting in a pavilion. Then she brought the two to their lodgings. When Chu Xiang saw Xiaochen, she said softly, "Young Master Xiao, I have already made arrangements for your lodgings. Please come with me." Xiaochen recognized this girl. He said sincerely, "I have offended you earlier. Miss Chu, please don't take offense." Chu Xiang smiled casually and said, "It's fine. Young Master Zhao's cultivation is not high, but this Chu Xiang admires your strength. My master's 100 flowers twining hand is the true inheritance." Unexpectedly, young Master Xiao still managed to break it. "If we have time in the future, we can have a good exchange." Chu Xiang was indeed a good girl. She had a good temper and a good heart. Xiaochen nodded and smiled. "I would be delighted." The two chatted casually in the residence, discussing some of their understanding of the martial Tao. This somewhat broadened Xiaochen's horizons. Chu Xiang truly lived up to being a disciple of a holy land. Many of her insights and viewpoints benefited Xiaochen greatly. Halfway to the residence, Xiaochen discovered an old man and a youth leaving in the opposite corridor, feeling somewhat disappointed. The old man was spirited and gave off a steady aura, giving off the air of a grandmaster. The youth had an imposing appearance, looking handsome and distinguished. He even exuded the air of a ruler. Upon seeing that youth, the dragon race bloodline in Xiao Chen's body even surged slightly, raring to give it a try, wanting to compete with him. Xiao Chen could not help asking out of curiosity, "Who are these two people?" Chu Xiang took a look and said, "That is the crown prince of the eastern region's Hound Lion Empire, Xiahou Wu. The one beside him is Great Master Yunfei. They should be here to appraise the 1,000-year flame because of its fame. However, young Master Xiao already appraised the 1,000-year flame, so they have nothing to do with it." No wonder they returned disappointed. "Wait, Great Master Yunfei." Xiao Chen suddenly recalled this Great Master Yunfei. Wasn't he the one who humiliated Grandpa Seven back then? As a result, Grandpa Seven did not come to Peach Blossom City for 30 years. "Miss Chu, it has been a long time." Xiahou Wu looked at Chu Xiang from afar, and the disappointment on his face immediately vanished. Then he quickly walked over with a smile. Seeing the other party so enthusiastic, Chu Xiang said somewhat cautiously, "Young Master Xiahou, how have you been?" Xiahou Wu smiled and said, "It has been a year since we parted at Desolate City. Great Master, please give Miss Chu a bottle of my 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine. This is just a small gift. Please don't regard it as an outsider." Great Master Yunfei, who was behind, smiled faintly and took out a flask of wine. Xiahou Wu received it and said, "This spirit flower wine not only tastes excellent, but it also has a beautifying effect on women. More importantly, it can assist in cultivation and increase one's comprehension ability." With regards to his gift, Xiahou Wu was still very confident. However, Chu Xiang rejected, saying, "Young Master Xiahou is too polite. This fine wine is too precious. Young Master Xiahou, please keep it for yourself." Xiahou Wu had not expected to be rejected. He took a step forward, wanting to forcefully give this 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine to Chu Xiang. "If you don't want it, you are looking down on me, Xiahou Wu. If Miss Chu continues to reject me, then there is no point in me keeping it. I might as well throw it away." Chu Xiang felt somewhat embarrassed, unable to advance or retreat. As she struggled, a hand suddenly reached out and took the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine. "Young Master Xiahou, since Miss Chu does not want this wine, it would be a waste to throw it away. Let me drink it for you." Xiao Chen held the wine flask and gulped it down in one go. His body immediately felt hot. The spiritual energy, veritable essence energy, and demonic chi, veritable essence energy in his primal core surged at the same time. In an instant, his veritable essence energy became denser, a pleasant surprise. Xiao Chen reluctantly drank the last drop. Then, he shook the flask a few times to make sure that there was no wine left. Wiping his mouth, Xiao Chen returned the flask. Then, he smiled and said, "This is indeed good wine. It truly lives up to being the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine. Thank you, young Master Xiahou, for your kind intentions." This happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. Chu Xiang and Xiahou Wu were stunned. When Chu Xiang saw Xiao Chen wipe his mouth and return the empty flask to Xiahou Wu, she could not help covering her mouth and giggling. However, Xiahou Wu flew into a rage out of humiliation. He sized up Xiao Chen and demanded, "Who are you? How dare you drink my wine? Are you seeking death?" Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, "There are many people in this world who want me dead. It does not matter if you die or not. I do not even fear the dragon god crown prince. So what if I drink your flask of wine? You are seeking death." Seeing that a holy venerate like Xiao Chen dared to show such an attitude, Xiahou Wu became enraged. He immediately threw a palm strike at Xiao Chen. Xiahou Wu flew into a rage, and his aura instantly erupted. A terrifying aura belonging to the great desolate Ian mutated beast, the Swan Ni, pressed down on Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen could no longer hold back his divine dragon bloodline. It erupted, merging his veritable essence energy and vital chi. Then he threw a punch at Xiao Chen. Bang! The two fists clashed amid a loud sound. By relying on his acquired divine body, Xiao Chen did not move at all. Xiahou Wu, who had underestimated his opponent, suffered greatly. This punch sent him flying back 100 meters. His internal organs churned, feeling incredibly uncomfortable. Xiao Wu, this is the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. How dare you be so impudent here? Chu Xiang shouted coldly as she stood in front of Xiao Chen when she saw Xiao Wu attack and injure him. Fortunately, Xiao Chen was not injured. Otherwise, if the Holy Daughter blamed her, she would have failed in her duty. At this moment, Chu Xiang's gentle and charming air vanished. Her aura was sharp, no one daring to underestimate her. Xiao Wu, who was about to continue attacking, withdrew the terrifying aura in his body. Then, he said indifferently, "Naturally, I do not dare to be impudent in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence." After saying that, Xiao Wu looked coldly at Xiao Chen before turning to leave. Chu Xiang heaved a sigh of relief after seeing Xiao Wu leave. Then, she quickly turned around to look. She saw Xiao Chen's expression turn strange. His cheeks puffed up like he was suppressing the clotted blood in his body, feeling very uncomfortable. Startled, she exclaimed, "Young Master Xiao, are you all right? Don't scare me." Gulp. Xiao Chen recovered to normal. He smiled and said, "What can happen to me? I just could not bear to spit out the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine." Chu Xiang heaved a long sigh of relief. Then she recalled Xiao Wu's foolish expression when he saw Xiao Chen drink the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine in one go. She could not help laughing again. Chu Xiang's bell-like laughter sounded very pleasing, like a lively musical instrument. Chapter 2048. Chu Xiang's laughter sounded very pleasant, sounding like a wind chime. Xiao Chen revealed a smile. It had been a long time since he had heard such clear and melodious laughter. The Holy Daughter was like a fairy from heaven. Even when she stood before him, she gave off a distant feeling. A layer of fog shrouded her, making her seem otherworldly. Chu Xiang was a living celestial maiden. One could truly feel her existence and her beauty. When Chu Xiang noticed Xiao Chen paying attention to her, she immediately realized that she had lost her composure. However, she still could not hide the smile on her charming face. She said softly, "Thank you, young Master Xiao, for helping me out. However, I offended the Bai and Crown Prince. Young Master Xiao, you should be careful in the future." Xiao Chen said softly, "If you are not afraid, all the more I will not fear him. However, his wine is pretty good. It would be a pity if Miss Chu did not drink it. I will not take his things." Chu Xiang's lips curled up as she said, "For the sake of getting close to the Holy Daughter, many people have targeted me, trying to use me to get close to the Holy Daughter. If not for the Heavenly Fragrance's rules, I would have slapped such people with impure motives long ago." At the start, Chu Xiang appeared soft and weak. Later, she became incredibly tyrannical. Xiao Chen smiled to himself. This Miss Chu is also a passionate person. "We're here. Young Master Xiao will be staying here tonight," Chu Xiang said softly as she pointed to a courtyard in front. "We're here. Young Master Xiao will be staying here tonight." The courtyard looked very ordinary. However, after entering, one discovered that it was a completely different world. There were fake mountains, flowing water, and winding corridors. It was elegant and clean, and there was even a place for cultivators to cultivate. Xiao Chen felt very satisfied. He nodded and said, "This place is pretty good." Chu Xiang said softly, "This is a place arranged for cultivators. I will arrange another place for young Master Zhao's friend." Xiao Chen nodded. Iron Egg did not have any requirements for a place to stay. Being able to stay in the palace already surpassed Xiao Chen's expectations. There was nothing to be dissatisfied about. "In that case, I'll take my leave first." Chu Xiang smiled and bowed before taking her leave. After entering a cultivation room in the courtyard, Xiao Chen sat down cross-legged and quickly refined the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine. As expected of the Bai and Crown Prince. Although this 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine was much weaker than heartburn, especially since it did not have the ability to strengthen one's bloodline, it was still comparable to the Bai and Crown Prince. However, its effect in assisting cultivation was unparalleled. Right now, Xiaochun could break through to sovereign personage at any time. He did not want to miss this opportunity. If he was lucky enough to succeed, he really had to thank the Taoan crown prince, Xiaohu. At the same time, Xiaohu, who had just walked out of the Tianxiang palace, had a dark expression on his face. The killing intent in his eyes was extremely thick. Great Master Yunfei, who was at the side, consoled, "Your Highness the Crown Prince, there is no need to be anxious. I have already sent people to investigate this person's background. When night falls, we will know this person's background." Xiahou Wu calmed his emotions, unable to hide the pain on his face. The value of the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine was worth more than 1 million primeval heavenly pills. Moreover, it was priceless. Spirit flower wine that was over 1,000 years old was limited even in the Hound Lion Empire's imperial family. He had wanted to get on Chu Xiang's good side, but he did not expect this mixed-blood lad to come out of nowhere and ruin his plans. In just 2 or 3 mouthfuls, it was all gone. What was even more abominable was that the person whom he underestimated actually got knocked into the air with one punch. Great Master is right. No matter what, we cannot be unbridled in this Tianxiang palace. When Great Master Yunfei heard that, he heaved a sigh of relief. Then he nodded and said, "It is good that the Crown Prince understands. In this trip to the Peach Blossom Garden, we still need to focus on the Wine King contest. Proper matters are more important." Xiahou Wu smiled and said, "With Great Master Yunfei around, I do not have to worry about the Wine King contest at all. Let's go back first. After we investigate this fellow's background, I will make him spit it out 10 times, 100 times." The bright moon hung alone, and there were no stars for thousands of kilometers around. The gentle, watery moonlight shone on the Tianxiang palace, looking elegant and tranquil. The night was beautiful. At this moment, in the courtyard where Xiaochun was, azure energy ripples spread out wave after wave, looking like the surface of a lake reflecting the moonlight, beautiful and flawless. Beneath the surface of the water, within the courtyard, everything was hazy and indistinct. From time to time, the cyan energy ripples would be thrust thousands of meters high, but they wouldn't break. It seemed like there was a terrifying existence under the ripples, trying to break through but never succeeding. 2 women hovered in the air above the residence. From a distance, they looked like they were standing on the full moon. They were tranquil and beautiful, standing out from the crowd. They looked ethereal and otherworldly, like people in a painting. These 2 women were the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and Chu Xiang. What a terrifying energy fluctuation. "Senior sister, the water cloud formation that you laid for him seems to be unable to hide his aura." Chu Xiang felt startled, clearly surprised. Under the moonlight, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter also appeared somewhat unfathomable, frowning heavily. 1 hour later, Chu Xiang suddenly came looking for the holy daughter and told her that Xiaochun was about to break through to sovereign personage. The aura in the courtyard was somewhat terrifying and startling. After the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter arrived, she immediately laid the water cloud formation to hide the aura in the courtyard. By now, the holy daughter's water cloud formation had already suffered more than 10 attacks. Unlike Chu Xiang, the holy daughter could see the scene in the courtyard through the water cloud formation. Dragon roars rang out in the courtyard, and mysterious phenomena appeared. The seated Xiaochun was like a powerful treasure saber giving off a faint light. Even though he did not draw his scabbard, he still gave off a terrifying sharpness. After the treasure saber were the 3 Dao wheels. Xiaochun, who did not look outstanding, actually comprehended 3 great Dao. Among them, his Thunder Dao reached an inconceivable level. This caused the entire courtyard to be engulfed in a sea of lightning. Heavy snow flew above the sea, and strong winds carried a boundless saber intent. Dragon roars rang out in the surroundings of the sea. An ancient and grave dragon might swept out in all directions. In the chaotic and terrifying mysterious phenomenon world, the sun and the moon shone together above the heavenly palace, competing with each other. Such a mysterious phenomenon already surpassed the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter's understanding. To her knowledge, any of the mysterious phenomena here would be an incredible existence if it appeared on a cultivator. However, for Xiaoqun, the sun and the moon shone together, a sea of lightning, snow drifted for 5,000 kilometers, a powerful treasure saber, and many other mysterious phenomena appeared at the same time. What kind of existence can suppress so many mysterious phenomena? Confusion filled the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's eyes, appearing extremely confused. Logically speaking, even someone with a great desolate Aeon bloodline could not suppress so many mysterious phenomena. One would explode and die. The mysterious fog shrouding the holy daughter's face scattered slightly, revealing a pair of unparalleled eyes that looked like stars and gems. A faint light flickered in the holy daughter's eyes. A sea of flowers bloomed in her eyes, overlapping and forming a vast world. This was the heavenly fragrance's 10,000 flower eyes. Chu Xiang, who was at the side, felt slightly shocked. She did not know why her senior sister executed an eye technique. Just as Chu Xiang felt uncertain, the 10,000 flowers gathered and silently withdrew. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter revealed an expression of understanding. So, that is what happened. An acquired divine body. No wonder he could suppress so many mysterious phenomena. It turned out that he had already cultivated an acquired divine body. This made sense. If one did not have a divine body, who could control so many mysterious phenomena in this world? With such accumulations, once Xiaoqun broke through to sovereign personage, his strength would increase unimaginably. Junior Sister Chu, are you saying that he drank all of Xiahou Wu's 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine in one go? The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter asked. At the mention of this matter, Chu Xiang could not help smiling. That's right. I saw that Xiahou Wu was completely stunned. His jaw nearly fell off. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter smiled faintly and said, if he knew that Xiaoqun would break through to sovereign personage because of this, I wonder what kind of expression he would have. Just thinking about it is very interesting. Chu Xiang rubbed her chin and asked, Senior sister, are you saying that young Master Xiao can really break through to sovereign personage? The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter shook her head and said, it's hard to say. I can tell that he has failed at least 5 or 6 times. Every time, he has a limitless chance of success. However, he always lacks an opportunity, wasting all his previous efforts. Tell me, what kind of person is he? The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter suddenly asked in the end. This question stunned Chu Xiang for a moment. Clearly, she had not expected the holy daughter to ask this. In Chu Xiang's memory, her senior sister had never been so interested in a person before. When they first met, the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter thought that Xiaoqun was just a dead man. Out of pity, she gave him a medicinal pill. However, that medicinal pill could not resolve the 1,000 taste red's poison at all. When they met again, Xiaoqun appeared before her brimming with energy. This had already startled her. Furthermore, she had not expected him to be the person that Qin Zhuolin mentioned. However, there was still more to come. Xiaoqun was the one who uprooted the 80-odd strongholds of the Heavenly Slaughter sect branch outside Peach Blossom City. Now, this Xiaoqun surprised her again. He actually cultivated an acquired divine body. Chapter 2049. All sorts of mysterious phenomena clashed under the water cloud formation. As Xiaoqun anxiously tried to break through, the holy daughter and Chu Xiang waited patiently for the results. The two felt very curious about whether Xiaoqun would succeed or not. If he succeeded, how strong would Xiaoqun be after advancing to sovereign personage? However, even after waiting until sunrise, there were no results. This attempt to break through was the one that took the longest out of all the attempts he had made. It looks like we will not know the results anytime soon. As the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter looked at the rising sun in the east, she sighed softly and said, Chu Xiang, stay behind. If he fails this time, the consequences will be severe. What do you mean? Chu Xiang did not know how horrifying Xiaoqun's accumulations were, so she did not understand what the holy daughter meant. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter did not say anything more. The rebound of his veritable essence energy is not that easy to endure. Chu Xiang nodded and said, I understand. I will watch over young Master Xiao and not let anything happen to him in the heavenly fragrance's residence. Chu Xiang stood guard for 3 days straight. During these 3 days, the water cloud formation that the Holy Daughter laid endured several attacks. However, it finally stabilized. The Holy Daughter did not spread out Xiao Chen's horrifying mysterious phenomena or his dragon race aura. The news of Xiao Chen staying in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence spread throughout Peach Blossom City during these 3 days. This caused countless people to be shocked. To think that a man stayed in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. This was something that had never happened before. Hence, everyone felt very curious about Xiao Chen's origins. After asking around, everyone was shocked. It turned out that Xiao Chen was the mysterious person who swept through the 80-odd strongholds of the Heavenly Slaughter Sect's branches. The recent fluctuations between the righteous factions and demonic factions were actually because of Xiao Chen. After that, there was news that the wine that Xiao Chen brought to the Wine King contest was Waning Moon. Back then, old Seven Du, who had not entered Peach Blossom City for 30 years after being defeated by Great Master Yuanfei, sent someone to kill his way back with a flask of wine. That was not all. After some digging, people dug up all of Xiao Chen's deeds in the Divine Dragon Empire. He could not blame the others for investigating him so thoroughly. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter was very famous in the Great Desolate Domain. She was the dream lover of countless people. There had never been a male martial artist who was invited to stay in the Tianxiang Palace. He was the first. Furthermore, the participants of the Peach Blossom Wine Festival were all outstanding talents from various places, all of them backed by super factions. 3 days was more than enough to investigate a person's background. However, Xiao Chen could not become the main character in Peach Blossom City. Right now, the most popular event in Peach Blossom City was the Wine King contest. During every Centennial Wine Festival, aside from agreeing to a reasonable request from the Wine King contest winner, the Peach Blossom City's city lord would also take out one of his treasures as a reward. It was said that this year's reward was a mysterious key. As for what kind of key it was, others did not know. However, the great factions of the righteous and demonic paths already knew. For the sake of this key, an increasing number of outstanding talents gathered in Peach Blossom City over the past few days. The one who had the most hope of winning the Wine King competition was still the crown prince of the Hound Lion Empire, Xiahou Wu. This was because Xiahou Wu brought Great Master Yuanfei. Great Master Yuanfei was the legendary brewer of Peach Blossom City. In the past few decades, he had practically always won every wine festival he participated in. However, it was a little different this time around. This was because the number of people who came far surpassed the previous ones. Not just the top disciples of the righteous Tao sects came. The young sect masters of the Blood Flame sect and the Heavenly Slaughter sect of the demonic Tao factions also came. Among the demonic Tao factions, the 6 great demonic Tao sects were like the holy lands of the righteous Tao. As for the Blood Flame sect and the Heavenly Slaughter sect, they were 2 of the 6 great demonic Tao factions. Aside from the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter, the one with the greatest background among the righteous Tao factions was undoubtedly the Profound Heaven Holy Lands Holy Sun. After him were the Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yi Han, the Hound Lion Empire's Xiahou Wu, and the other rank 7 factions' crown princes and top disciples. This was the first time in a century that so many factions of the righteous Tao and demonic Tao gathered at the same time. The Peach Blossom Wine Festival looked the same as usual. In reality, as the factions of the righteous Tao and demonic Tao gathered, undercurrents surged. After so many factions arrived, the commotion caused by Xiao Chen staying in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence slowly faded. The Heavenly Fragrance's residence remained as bustling as before. Every day, the outstanding talents of the various major factions came to visit. However, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter refused to see anyone. There were only 2 days left until the Wine King contest. However, Xiao Chen still showed no signs of coming out of closed-door cultivation. Chu Xiang, who had been guarding the courtyard, already started to worry. "Young Master Xiao, what's going on? Should we go in and take a look?" Chu Xiang showed some worry on her charming face. She had never seen someone take so long to break through to sovereign personage before. However, when one was breaking through, one feared being disturbed the most. However, no one dared to act rashly, only feeling anxious. "Is there still no movement?" A figure drifted over in the air. Chu Xiang turned her head and saw the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter. "Yes, senior sister." There are still no signs of him coming out of closed-door cultivation. In the past few days, the water cloud formation has not even stirred. It is like a pool of dead water inside, showing no movement at all. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter nodded. Seeing Chu Xiang's worry, she said softly, "Don't worry. Let me take a look." The holy daughter personally laid the water cloud formation. Others could not see the scene inside or sense the aura inside. However, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter was not restricted. A faint light flashed in the holy daughter's eyes as she peered through the rippling water screen. She saw that the courtyard was calm. The mysterious phenomenon she saw earlier had vanished. The entire courtyard was deathly silent. Even the fallen leaves in the courtyard turned slightly yellow. It was so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. Did he fail? The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter thought to herself. Such a situation does not seem like something that should happen after a successful breakthrough. She fixed her gaze on Xiao Chen, who was seated cross-legged, and was about to take a closer look. Just as she was about to take a closer look, Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes. The two's gazes met in the air. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter saw an ancient and grave azure-colored dragon image in Xiao Chen's eyes. The azure-colored dragon image disappeared in a flash. Following that, the sovereign personage will from Xiao Chen's soul pool erupted from his body. In that instant, winds and clouds gathered. Fallen leaves flew everywhere, and strong winds howled. This startled the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter. She withdrew her gaze and could not help taking a step back. Chu Xiang quickly went over to support the holy daughter. "Senior sister, what's wrong?" The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter held her forehead, feeling a piercing pain in her eyes. Earlier, Xiao Chen's gaze was very scary. That fleeting dragon silhouette caught her off guard. The dragon might that originated from ancient times shook her divine soul. "I'm fine. Come in with me and congratulate young Master Xiao." The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter waved her hand and entered. When Chu Xiang heard that, she felt slightly stunned. Then she reacted. Xiao Chen succeeded in breaking through to sovereign personage. Chu Xiang quickly followed. She had been on tenterhooks for the past few days, feeling very worried. Xiao Chen finally succeeded. It had not been easy. Back then, when she tried to break through to sovereign personage, she had not been this worried. "Young Master Xiao, congratulations on successfully advancing to sovereign personage." The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said softly as she drifted in. Xiao Chen looked at the water cloud formation above him. Then he smiled faintly and said, "Many thanks to the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and Miss Chu Xiang for protecting me." Sovereign personage was the final major realm of the Cloud Sea realm. After entering this realm, one could become a sovereign among humans, the peak of humans. If one cultivated any further, they would no longer be a human realm. From the initial veritable personage to the current sovereign personage. It had not been easy for Xiao Chen to get to where he was. Outsiders did not know the hardships involved. As someone who came from an abandoned land, Xiao Chen had climbed step by step to where he was today. If he told others everything, no one would believe him. Even among the outstanding talents of the Central Great Realm, very few could advance to sovereign personage. Those who could advance to sovereign personage at Xiao Chen's age were even rarer. They were either the people of the Holy Lands or the true inheritors of rank 7 sections. There were practically none like Xiao Chen, who fought his way up step by step. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter seemed to want to see through Xiao Chen. However, she discovered that he was shrouded in mystery, appearing even more mysterious than her. The holy daughter could only give up helplessly. She said, after advancing to sovereign personage, you should properly cultivate and stabilize your foundation. However, the Wine King contest will begin in 2 days. I'm afraid that young Master Xiao will not have much time to familiarize yourself. Xiao Chen exclaimed in shock. I took so long to break through? A total of 5 days. Chu Xiang said from the side, raising her hand. Time was really tight. Xiao Chen had to set aside the joy of advancing to sovereign personage for now. He had to spend some time to prepare for the Wine King contest. He had to do his best to emerge victorious in the Wine King contest and complete Grandpa Seven's unfulfilled wish, ensuring the peace of the village for 100 years. Chapter 2050. While you were in closed-door cultivation, Senior Cui sent someone to deliver an invitation to the Wine King contest. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter handed Xiao Chen a gold-plated invitation. Many people came to participate in the Peach Blossom Wine Festival. However, not many people could obtain this invitation. Only with this invitation could one qualify to participate in the Wine King contest. Young Master Xiao, are you participating in the Wine King contest for the Ethereal Immortal Palace's treasure key? The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter asked when she saw Xiao Chen receive the invitation. What Ethereal Immortal Palace? Xiao Chen felt confused. He did not know what the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter was talking about. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter revealed an expression of understanding. Then she said, Indeed, it is as I thought. In every centennial wine festival, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor will take out one of his treasures as a reward. This time, the reward is a key. Anyone with some connections would know that it is the key to the Ethereal Immortal Palace. Many people have come for this key. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and said, I really don't know about that. I don't even know what the Ethereal Immortal Palace is. Chu Xiang covered her mouth and smiled faintly. Young Master Xiao is really surprising. You are already a sovereign personage, yet you do not know some things that everyone knows. I am from another region. I came to the Central Great Realm only 2 or 3 years ago. Xiao Chen answered honestly, answering the two's doubts. We can talk about the Ethereal Immortal Palace later. You should have many things that you do not understand now that you have advanced to sovereign personage. I will leave Chu Xiang here. If you have any questions, you can ask her for answers. Don't underestimate this junior sister of mine. If we really fight, you might not be a match for her. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter smiled sweetly and slowly withdrew. This was not an exaggeration. This Chu Xiang had advanced to sovereign personage at least 2 or 3 years ago. Furthermore, she came from a holy land. She definitely had a lot of resources. It would be hard to say if she was a match for her. Holy daughter overestimates me. I will wait outside the courtyard. If young Master Xiao needs anything, just call me at any time. The junior sister of the holy daughter served Xiao Chen like a maidservant. This caused him to feel slightly uncomfortable, but Chu Xiang didn't give him a chance to refuse. She smiled, bowed, and left. Let's not think anymore. Let me see what changes there are when I advance to sovereign personage. Recollecting his thoughts, Xiao Chen's consciousness entered the soul pool. After advancing to sovereign personage, the greatest change was the vague dragon seal in Xiao Chen's soul pool, which represented his will of soul. It was completely clear and distinct, radiating a resplendent light. King's might spread to every corner of the soul pool. King's will. The qualitative improvement of Xiao Chen's will of soul allowed him to rival a small perfection sovereign personage's will of soul. If he advanced further, he could rival a great perfection sovereign personage or even surpass them. Apart from that, his quintessential essence had been further condensed, reaching the limit. Lowering his consciousness to his dantian, Xiao Chen discovered that the 9-star primal core had already solidified, flickering with black and white lights. The amount of true essence it could hold had increased by 10 times. Xiao Chen exclaimed in shock, Small perfection sovereign personage? The materialization of the primal core was the mark of a small perfection sovereign personage. His primal core would be further transformed and could be molded directly. When one reached peak sovereign personage, the primal core would advance further, turning into an illusory object, somewhere between tangible and intangible. At that time, the primal core would no longer be destroyed, and one would reach the limits of a human. If one wanted to advance further, one had to undergo a rebirth, break through to the Cloud Sea realm, and start cultivating the soul. However, all of this was still a distant goal. Right now, Xiaochen was shocked that he had directly surpassed initial perfection sovereign personage and advanced to small perfection sovereign personage. Xiaochen could not help wanting to laugh out loud. The sovereign personage realm was divided into initial perfection, small perfection, great perfection, and consummation. With each increase in the 4 stages, there would be a qualitative improvement. Many people would remain stuck at a certain stage for the rest of their lives, unable to advance further. However, now, when Xiaochen advanced, he skipped initial perfection and reached small perfection. Xiaochen's deep accumulations finally erupted at this moment. After thinking about it, Xiaochen concluded that it might have something to do with the flask of heartburn that he drank. It was the best wine of the dragon race. Not only could it increase one's cultivation, but it could also convert one's bloodline power. Qin Zhuolin once said that back then, a sovereign emperor was willing to pay a jade mine for this wine. With the aid of this excellent wine and his acquired divine body, Xiaochen still needed to add in the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine that Xiahou Wu gave him. Coincidentally, Xiaochen managed to advance to small perfection sovereign personage. Xiaochen smiled faintly and said, "I wonder if Xiahou Wu will die from anger when he finds out." The various changes made Xiaochen's current strength several times stronger than before he broke through. Now that he ran into a great perfection sovereign personage, while Xiaochen did not dare say that he could defeat the other party, he would not fear it. Saber! With a thought, the tyrant saber appeared in Xiaochen's hand, and he drew it. The blade was perfectly straight and 2 fingers wide. It looked delicate and pretty, but when paired with its nearly 4 feet long length, it made one shudder in fear. As Xiaochen gently caressed the saber, he felt somewhat rueful. He had not truly drawn his saber for a long time already. It was not that Xiaochen did not want to, but that his saber skills had fallen too far behind. The Supreme Dragon Fist and Firmament's Rage combined with his Peak Thunder Dao could help him settle most battles. However, the Mahamya Abstinence Violation Saber's 3rd move, Entering Hell, required a sovereign personage to truly control. Otherwise, if Xiaochen cultivated it rashly, he might end up like Zhen Yuan, falling into the demonic Dao. All this while, Xiaochen had not dared to touch it. Now that he had advanced to sovereign personage, he did not want to wait any longer. As a bladesman, Xiaochen had been suppressed for too long. "I've wronged you." Buzz. Right after Xiaochen spoke, the tyrant saber seemed to understand him. It trembled gently and buzzed endlessly. The sharpness that had been suppressed for a long time burst out, turning into a boundless saber intent sweeping out in all directions. A tyrannical aura surged in Xiaochen's heart. The bloodline in Xiaochen's body instantly surged. Using this aura, Xiaochen immediately executed the Mahamya Abstinence Violation Saber Technique's 3rd move, Entering Hell. The Buddha said, "If I do not enter hell, who will?" This saber strike contained the intent to forego death. Compared to breaking the mundane and resolving the mundane, it contained a broader and boundless boldness and breadth of mind. Without the will of soul of a sovereign personage, one would not be able to control this fearless saber strike. If one was not careful, one would lose control and become a slave to the saber, unable to extricate themselves. Outside the courtyard, Chu Xiang, who was waiting, heard a saber hum. His heart instantly trembled, and his entire body shivered. He was bewildered and bewildered. Just as she was feeling uncertain, a boundless saber strike containing a fearless boldness soared into the sky from the courtyard and swept out in all directions. What a strong saber strike! This startled Chu Xiang. She nearly thought that this saber strike would destroy the entire residence. However, just as Chu Xiang was about to make a move, she was shocked to discover that this saber strike was forcefully pulled back just as it was about to leave the courtyard. He stabilized it? Such a strong saber strike was actually more terrifying when it was pulled back than when it was unleashed. The saber strike was already so terrifying, inspiring fear. In that case, how terrifying was the person who could subdue this saber strike? Xiaochen. Aside from Xiaochen, there was no one else in the courtyard. Clearly, this saber strike came from Xiaochen. He is also a bladesman? Chu Xiang could no longer suppress the curiosity in her heart. She gently spread her arms and flew up like a butterfly, landing firmly on the courtyard wall. She saw saber winds in the courtyard, accompanied by ghostly wails and wolf howls. It was like purgatory in the mortal world. Malicious spirits wailed and evil spirits cried amid the howling saber winds. The saber winds caused Chu Xiang to lose her footing and nearly fall. The saber winds were so intense that she could not open her eyes. Chu Xiang squinted and looked over with some difficulty. Finally, she saw the mysterious phenomenon formed by the saber wind. Finally, she saw the white-clad Xiaochen in the purgatory storm with a calm expression and a saber in his hand. A Buddhist swastika appeared on Xiaochen's forehead. Xiaochen did not seem to be holding a saber in his hand but an evil dragon from hell that ruled the world and could devour the world. Chu Xiang trembled in fear, afraid that Xiaochen would lose control and release this evil dragon of hell. Chu Xiang worried for Xiaochen. She could tell how terrifying this saber strike was and feared that Xiaochen would lose control and sink into it. However, Chu Xiang slowly discovered that she had worried for nothing. Xiaochen's initial control was somewhat stiff, making the onlookers nervous. Soon, he could control it as he pleased. It was like Xiaochen's white robes made him look like an azure lotus walking in hell. His figure swayed, but his heart remained calm. Clang! At some point in time, a melodious saber hum rang out beside Chu Xiang's ears. Only then did Chu Xiang come to her senses. She discovered that Xiaochen had already sheathed his saber at some point in time. He had a faint smile on his delicate face as he looked at Chu Xiang, who was standing on the courtyard wall. Chapter 2051. On the courtyard wall, Chu Xiang calmed down for a long time before saying, "Unexpectedly, young Master Xiao is actually a bladesman as well. This is truly surprising." Xiaochen said softly, "I haven't used it for a long time. Fortunately, I'm not rusty. Miss Chu Xiang's swordsmanship should be pretty good. Would it be possible for you to give me some pointers?" "My pleasure. I haven't used a saber in a long time, and I've just entered hell." His improvement would be much faster than if he were to cultivate on his own. It was great that Chu Xiang could help him. As for Chu Xiang, after seeing Xiaochen's saber skills, she was already tempted. Even if the other party did not mention it, she would have taken the initiative to bring it up. It would also be of great help to her. Xiao. With that, a sword appeared in Chu Xiang's hand, and she swung it at Xiaochen. As the long sword was unsheathed, rays of light shone out. Immediately, the courtyard was filled with vitality. Hundreds of flowers suddenly appeared between the ground and the ground. The moment the flowers bloomed, Chu Xiang's sword also arrived in front of Xiaochen. Among the hundreds of flowers, her sword was the king of the flowers. Under the scorching sun, he bloomed proudly. What a powerful life force! Xiaochen felt shocked in his heart. To think that Chu Xiang cultivated the life Tao. This reminded him of the merfolk Yan Cangming, who cultivated the death Tao. Compared to the Tao of death, the Tao of life was much harder to cultivate. However, be it the life Tao or the death Tao, they were both special great Taos that stood above the wind Tao, fire Tao, lightning Tao and the other elemental Taos. Xiaochen did not dare to underestimate him. He immediately drew his tyrant saber. Infusing the thunder great Tao into the great Tao, Xiaochen swung his saber to block this unstoppable, exuberant life force. When the saber and sword clashed, Chu Xiang was shocked to discover that the two of them were actually evenly matched. She had advanced to sovereign personage 2 years ago. Without a doubt, her cultivation was much denser than Xiaochen's. However, she could not suppress Xiaochen, who had just advanced to sovereign personage. Without any time to think, Zhang Xian flicked his wrist, and the 100 flowers' fluttering petals swiftly changed his move. Under the scorching sun, one of them used a saber while the other used a sword, exchanging blows with each other. Neither of them wanted to give in to the other, and neither of them wanted to admit defeat. Gradually, the two of them began to unleash the strength they had been suppressing. They were evenly matched, and Chu Xiang had the upper hand. After all, he came from the heavenly fragrance Holy Land and advanced to sovereign personage 2 years earlier than Xiao Qin. Furthermore, this was just a spar. Xiao Qin had many trump cards that he could not use. Such an outcome was reasonable. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Xiao Qin exchanged moves with Chu Xiang during the day and stabilized his cultivation at night. He did not notice the passage of time. Just like that, 2 days passed just like that before he could do his best. However, even if he wanted to continue, he had to stop. The Wine King contest was about to begin. No more fighting. Chu Xiang sheathed her sword, feeling some lingering fear. She still had a slight advantage on the first day. On the second day, he couldn't hold on any longer. Furthermore, this was before Xiao Qin executed that horrifying killing move. Chu Xiang had never seen a bladesman with such startling comprehension ability. His comprehension was so strong that it made people feel a little scared. Xiao Qin asked softly, "Miss Chu, do you want to participate in the Wine King contest with me?" Chu Xiang smiled faintly and replied, "I'm afraid not. I have to go with the Holy Daughter. Senior sister is a specially invited appraiser. You can secretly approach senior sister now and use your connections." Xiao Qin knew that the other party was joking. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, "I'll take my leave first, then. Let's meet at the Wine King contest. I look forward to your good performance." After saying goodbye to Chu Xiang, Xiao Qin headed to the Wine King contest with Iron Egg. The venue of the Wine King contest was in the City Lord's residence. Today, the City Lord's residence was open to the public and exceptionally bustling. However, ordinary people could only watch the Wine King contest from the outer courtyard and could not enter the inner courtyard. "Brother Xiao," someone called out to Xiao Qin at an intersection. When he turned his head back, he saw that it was the Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yi Han. What a coincidence! Xiao Qin had a good impression of this person, so he replied softly, "This is not a coincidence. I've been waiting for young Master Xiao at this intersection for 5 days already. Young Master Xiao never came to my Ice Snow Mountain Manor's residence, so I could only wait here." Yi Han did not hide anything, directly stating that he had purposely waited here for Xiao Qin. Only now did Xiao Qin recall that before Yi Han left a few days ago, he did invite him to the Ice Snow Mountain Manor. Unfortunately, time was too tight, so Xiao Qin had completely forgotten about it. "Sorry, young Master Yi, why are you looking for me?" Yi Han looked around. There were many people and carriages on the streets, but no one paid attention to the two of them. Yi Han walked over and whispered, "If young Master Xiao wins the Wine King contest, will you give me the Ethereal Immortal Palace's key? Of course, the price is negotiable. I will definitely not disappoint young Master Xiao." The Ethereal Immortal Palace again. Xiao Qin's expression did not change as he said calmly, "Brother Yi really thinks highly of me. Let's talk about it later." In any case, that Xiahou Wu will definitely not agree to it. I can only try to get young Master Xiao. If you agree, you can come and look for me at any time. Yi Han did not say anything more. After saying that, he performed a cupped fist salute and took his leave. Yi Han did not show any intention of traveling with Xiao Qin. As Xiao Qin looked at Yi Han's departing figure, he entered deep thought. It looks like I have to spend some time to find out what kind of existence the Ethereal Immortal Palace is. Xiao Qin continued on his way. Half an hour later, Xiao Qin arrived at the City Lord's residence and handed over his invitation, successfully entering the inner courtyard. The venue for the Wine King contest was set up on a tall platform. After entering the inner courtyard, someone led Xiao Qin to the tall platform to take a seat. The tall platform was already filled with people. When Xiao Qin looked around, he found many of them familiar. They were the guests at the Heavenly Fragrance Palace that day. Their gazes were hostile, but there was no murderous intent. Only two people were exceptions. One was the Hound Lion Empire's crown prince, Xiahou Wu. Great Master Yuanfei stood behind him, smiling coldly as he looked at Xiao Qin. The other person sat beside Pei Xiaoxian. This person had a sullen expression, pitch-black eyes, and extremely heavy demonic qi spreading from his body. Due to the different demonic cultivation techniques one cultivated, demonic qi was ever-changing. The characteristics of the other party's demonic qi were very familiar to Xiao Qin. Many of the Heavenly Slaughter sect cultivators he had killed had this aura. The Heavenly Slaughter sect's young sect master, Wang Yun. A name immediately appeared in Xiao Qin's mind. He guessed this person's identity, but his expression did not change as he sat down calmly. This Xiao Qin is really bold. To think that his expression did not change at all when he saw Wang Yun. He probably does not know how horrifying Wang Yun's strength is. I can tell that Great Master Yuanfei's gaze on this fellow is somewhat strange as well. Who knows what's going on? You still don't know? The wine that this fellow brought was brewed by old Du Qi. How could Great Master Yuanfei find him pleasing to the eye? There will be a good show to watch now. On the high platform, many people were whispering and discussing in low voices. Suddenly, a group of people walked over from behind the tall platform. One of them was a middle-aged man who looked extraordinary. He was casually dressed and had an unruly smile on his face. His two glasses were slightly red, and he seemed to be a little drunk. This was Peach Blossom City's city lord, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Aside from the city lord's residence's experts, there was also a group of appraisers that the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter had invited over. Greetings, City Lord. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was no ordinary sovereign emperor. He possessed extremely horrifying strength. Even those demonic Dao outstanding talents had to give him face. At this moment, he didn't dare to be impudent and obediently bowed. Haha, you're welcome. It's time for the Centennial Wine Party again. Thank you, everyone, for taking the trouble to bring me good wine. I don't like red tape and I don't like to talk nonsense. Drink 3 glasses with me first. After 3 cups, we'll talk about the Wine King contest. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor appeared rather laid back. He stumbled over to the host's seat and casually waved his wide sleeves. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of wine cups flew out from his sleeves and shot toward him. Bang, bang, bang. The wine cups instantly struck a few loose cultivators with weak cultivations. They vomited a mouthful of blood, and all their bones shattered as they went flying back in miserable states. These loose cultivators fell off the tall platform, losing their qualifications to continue participating in the wine party. Xiao Qin felt somewhat surprised. Unexpectedly, there was such a thing. The other participants were also somewhat surprised. There had not been such a rule in the past. However, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's way of doing things was unfathomable, with no rules to follow. Right now, there was no time to think too much. Xiao Qin had to catch 3 cups of wine first. Otherwise, he would be eliminated before it started. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.